What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube.
Welcome to Couch in the Rube, our Sunday night show presented by Muskox Quality Flannels. Enjoy the Muskox Labor Day sale through Monday night. Go to gomuskox.com, save $35 on the 3 Seasons flannel. And also, anytime you're at Muskox, at gomuskox.com, listeners can use the Couch in the Rube promo, new code, HOFF. No longer caw. It's HOFF, H-O-F-F, for $15 off your first flannel purchase. Jason, how you doing, brother?
Two-part question for you. First,
Two-part?
Yes. The 2/4.
Getting late now.
What's going on, buddy? Switching up the code. I'm going to have to get something for the code. Are we trying to get rid of the caw? There was some caws going on Friday night, but we'll get to that. But
There were some moments. I think
Graham Couch is back. Fucking football is back. I love this time of year. It's great for hot takes because I had like 5 of them.
that's amazing.
A couple bonus ones.
Oh, I'm
like
excited.
Carmen Electra's hot or Jason can't read or whatever dumb shit people post.
I actually deleted, somebody put Jason can't read, and I deleted it because it was at the point I was worried. Like, we have a lot of hot takes, and before we get into ours and yours,
Schofield can sound off. I listen. You know, I do suck at reading sometimes, but it does get hot in here.
It was at the point in the show where you'd been reading for so long, I worried you were going to lose it. So I was like, I'm just going to delete that one. That's
what the edible's for.
I know you well enough. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'll remind people, like, sometimes with the hot takes, you know, we got a lot of great ones tonight, and there are a lot of them, and we're going to get into all of them. But, you know, be creative. If you think somebody else is going to hit the Jay Johnson 4th and 1s,
oh God,
maybe pick something else because we got a few of those, and we're gonna go through them. And you know, whatever stood out to you that you think might be a little more unique is always
I just like that you put buckle up. It always, you know,
on the email I sent you.
It's really great, especially when it's hot in here to see buckle up ... That's fine.
It's gonna be good.
It's great.
It's gonna be a good show.
I absolutely love it.
We wait all year to have something to react to, and then we do.
4th and 1.
We got lots of stuff.
Still didn't get an answer, huh?
What's that?
On the 4th and 1. I listened to the press conference.
Yeah, no, there was no answer.
No.
Okay. Well, it might get one. We'll get into that. I don't want to.
Go ahead. Let's do it.
All right. So, do you want to start with your hot take?
It starts with the 4th and 1. I just don't understand. It hasn't worked in the past, and I know that Mel Tucker, because they just played that, Solari did ask him a 2-part question, which it was at the end of the presser, I guess, right after the post game there. I just want to answer from Jay Johnson or Mel Tucker because I watched Greg Schiano, albeit it's Northwestern, ran it 3 times on 4th down. They made it. So why the shotgun? And also, I did enjoy your column there, but to say it did irk some people, I'm sure, that you said, if what you're looking for from Michigan State's football program this season is tangible growth, I don't know how anyone could leave Friday night disappointed. Classic Couch. Because if I didn't know you, I'd go, this guy's a complete ass. I don't understand this. Because you have to understand the first half. What are fans supposed to say? I get it. There was caws and all this other shit, but why not? For the first quarter and a half, I mean, there was some offense in the second quarter.
Oh, no.
And then on. But I'm just saying, like, why can't we just watch? And I mean, we're on Twitter. Who cares? I have 2,000 followers. Just mute me or something. But we should be able to complain. I'm sick of people blaming that shit. Like we're jumping off the bandwagon.
No, the first half was a lot of good reason to complain. The point of the column was that they grew into the game and there was progress not only within the game. I'll get into that in my hot take.
But you weren't wrong about those catches before the half, because I tell you what, if they would have went into that halftime with Kim not hitting anyone,
it was going to be brutal.
It was going to be brutal.
So, yeah, and I want to answer your first question first before we get into the other ones about the fourth downs, because I do think it is a question that Jay Johnson has answered to some degree, because I kind of remember it. I don't remember the answer, so he needs to be asked again. but I remember being in a press conference where this has been brought up. This isn't new. And
so you don't know what he said.
I don't remember. In Mel Tucker's defense, I usually take edibles before the press conference. No, I'm kidding.
Smart.
No, in Mel Tucker's defense, he does leave a lot of the offense and the decisions to Jay Johnson, which actually they ought to have Jay Johnson available post-game because of that. And we ought to bring that up. And Mark D'Antonio for years until things got contentious at the end would have his offensive and defensive coordinator as part of the post-game press conferences, which was really helpful because they are more into the nitty-gritty of play calls and decisions in terms of why something was called at a certain point with the offense or defense sometimes. And so in Mel Tucker's defense, he leaves a lot of the offense to Jay Johnson. I disagree with the shotgun thing. I've heard some people say that it's not any worse than not being under center. I think it takes away the QB sneak, number one. I think it's easier for the defense to read where the ball is going, number two. But there are a couple coaches I plan to reach out on this and see if I can get a better sense of what they say.
But when you have an offensive line like Michigan State's, I would figure the closer to it you'd want to be, so you hopefully can just squeak through or hand the ball off or something.
And you know what's allowed now? To push people in the back. What you want to do is QB sneak. Your running back comes from behind and shoves Noah Kim forward. That. I'm not saying that's what you want to do every time, but that option, when you're closer to the line and things happen quicker, it forces the defensive line to guess and react quicker. I think it's a mistake. It is a question that Jay Johnson needs to be asked.
But don't you think Mel could have answered it right there? I understand it was at the end of it was like 11 minutes or something like that. But you can't just answer it. We're looking into exploring other options. I guess that could be a question. What do you want Mel to say? Jay Johnson's an ass? I mean, he's not going to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you do have to, right there you can say, hey, there are reasons we do it. We think it gives us the best chance, given personnel and everything. It didn't work. We'll have to look into it. Whatever you can say,
something.
Yeah, right. You can say you definitely can answer it.
You need to acknowledge it, I guess.
Coaches struggle at giving satisfying answers, and it's just not that hard. I don't know why they can't do it better, because when things don't work, if you take accountability for them and say, yeah, that didn't work there, we did this for a given reason, we'll look into it and see if that's really the best moving forward. I think everybody's okay with it. You know what I mean? And so coaches struggle with that across the board. They're defensive. They think that reporters and fans don't understand the game well enough to really live at their level.
Rightfully so. And they're trying to get
correct.
something out of you so they can take it to, I understand all of that.
But when they don't explain it and then they get slammed for it by a reporter, by anybody, they cannot complain. That is their opportunity to explain it, and it's given to them. And so that's one of the things that I think like Izzo does really well with some of the access that he gives is if you don't understand something, he's right there for you to sort of explain why he did it.
Not talking about Michigan.
Now, he doesn't always give satisfying answers either because he's a coach, and coaches, again, struggle.
Izzo's looking good. I saw him up there in the booth. Did he stop by and say hi to the boys and the writers there?
He did not.
Room? No?
He did not. But this time of year, they always look good, right? It's out of season. He likes football. You just had the summer.
Yeah.
Hope is high. Life worth living.
Best time of year.
All that stuff. Yeah, well, so I'll kind of get into your points, too, with my first hot take. And I'm going to Graham Stout the hell out of this, okay? You knew that was coming.
Okay.
Yeah. Two things can be true. I don't think this team inspired a ton of confidence about what's to come when they face Washington and get into the Big Ten. But I also sort of think it was what everybody was looking for, in the sense that they did grow into the game, that they did improve, that the defense overall made adjustments and was better than they've been and carried them on a given day, which is something we haven't seen much in the last few years. And there was just enough angst, the 4th and 1s, the calls there. The offensive line in short yardage situations and a few times did not look overly promising, and I think that's something that still is worthy of worry. And again, you can't do everything that I said beforehand and we've talked about still stands. You can't prove you're good against Central Michigan. you can only prove you're in trouble. And what the second half at least did was kick the can down the road to see what's going to happen to this team. And they did a nice job. There are things that look promising and intriguing, and we will have to see. The young playmakers may wind up being some of their best receivers. And you're right about that play to Jerron Glover, that throw, those two throws from Noah Kim. Nothing was going right. And that over-the-shoulder catch, which he talked about, and he said it's a lot harder than the other one just because you got to locate the ball. That's as big a play as Michigan State may have this season. I'm telling you, because I don't know. Maybe Central Michigan wears down.
Sorry, I'm just giddy that we're so back.
Yeah.
You're dropping this shit now.
Well, MAC schools often do. I've seen it a million times, right? I covered that league when I lived in Kalamazoo.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And Central Michigan was woefully one-dimensional, and eventually Michigan State's defense, to their credit, figured out how to keep Bert Emanuel Jr. in check and all that. And so all that stuff may have played out eventually. But to go into halftime with the vibe that would have been there in the crowd, to boos, certainly, to maybe a lack of confidence offensively, I know my original thought was that they might have gone to Katin Hauser if that happened. The more we learn about that, it sounds like there is a separation between Hauser and where Hauser is and where Noah Kim is, and there wasn't a plan to do that. But who knows? If things had not gotten better at some point, you have to look at the other guy, right? Sure. So I don't know how long that would have gone. Those could be two of the biggest plays of the season because I don't know how that game unfolds. But
there were good things that came out of the game. I was happy with the way that defense played. Only gave up 7 points, but just your just normal reaction would be to that first half offense. It's just, and with Jay Johnson, sometimes I think you're allowed to go, what the fuck? Great game, won the game 31-7, but there's still some lingering things that you're just like, before, especially you watch Washington beat whoever they beat, like 50 touchdowns, but.
Well, so Nathan Carter looks really good. He's not he's not Kenneth Walker.
Was I yelling that in that first run?
Right, yeah.
Holy shit!
If he had gone the distance,
Tony Dombrowski.
If he had gone the distance, it would have been
God.
But he looks like a true bona fide back, right? I also thought Jalen Berger, who didn't play as well early, looked like a guy who could be effective, especially in the passing game. They used him really well. I think he's got a role there. He looks better than a year ago. I don't know to what degree is a natural running back, but an intriguing player, right? The defense, I thought, was really important the way they tackled in space. Again, we won't really find out about this defense until they face a quarterback who can throw the ball in an actual passing game, and you may see a little of that against Richmond, but you'll really see it against Washington. Like, can they hold up there? And they're going to give up yards. I mean, Michael Penix is an NFL quarterback. He's got NFL wideouts. That they're going to put up yards. It's not about shutting down a team like that. It's about staying in the game and winning your share of battles, and we're going to find all that out in a couple weeks. But I thought first game there were some signs on that defense. They did some things really soundly,
sure,
and I think that's important. Tackling in space carries over. I think that's a really important thing.
If you said before the game, what do you expect? I wouldn't have said I wouldn't have been happy with kind of the outcome, but I would have been like, okay, let's see what we got against Richmond.
Yeah,
and I think that's all right to say. I mean, Jay Johnson, let's see what you got here.
And we don't know what any of these teams are yet. We never do. You don't. The opponent does matter in terms of Central Michigan could not be very good, and this could turn out to be a win that had more red flags than we realized, or Central Michigan could turn out to be okay and have a competitive season, and these could have been first signs that Michigan State was going to grow into things and have a pretty good year.
And Jay Johnson, I mean, we just need him these 4th and 1s in the shotgun. I mean, come on, just get an answer.
That is the frustration.
Yeah,
that is the frustration. We're going to get a lot more of this MSU game here.
His 2-minute offense is spectacular.
Yeah,
Jay Johnson.
Yeah. All right, what is your second hot take?
By the way, I'm going to use this moment to give a shout out to my boy James Franklin, who has to be a gambler at heart, because I tell you what, Graham, this was going to be one fucking bloodbath of a weekend during college football in week 1 that will be salvaged, hopefully, if LSU can somehow win this. But shout out to James Franklin from all the gamblers. I'm sorry if you were on the other side of that. But the other underrated thing to watch and brings me glee and joy is the Iowa offense. And what was it? What was the 25? What was the ultimatum?
25 points a game average.
25 points a game average. They had 2 touchdowns in the first 8 minutes of the game. and finished at, 24 points. So I don't know if this is a money-making situation, Graham, but I really think this is like our lighthearted Tiger gambling bet to keep track of this Iowa, because I just can't wait to see Iowa. I don't like watching 4 hours of Iowa football, but checking in on the score every once in a while, it's kind of fun.
If it gets close at the end of the year and they've got to put up like 40 to average 25,
what a stupid, just fire the MF. I mean, what are you doing, Iowa? Why is there that ultimatum? Seriously, isn't that ridiculous?
It's a weird one. I don't think it's all that ridiculous, but it's a weird one. And I don't know if
Jay Johnson had a bounty on his head that he had to score 25 a game, would it be hilarious and fun to watch? Absolutely. But if I'm Jay Johnson, I'm like, fuck this.
It does seem,
go to the MAC.
It does seem somewhat unserious. You know? Yeah, for sure. Deion Sanders is the Jeff Blashill of college football coaches. Let me explain.
Oh, shit. Oh, sorry. Sorry, let me turn my...
You okay in there? I can't hear you.
Yeah.
Good. All right, good.
Oh, man, that was perfect.
So here's why.
Jeff Blashill.
Here's why. And here's
I think of both of those guys in the same.
Absolutely. Here's the comparison.
Oh, goddamn.
So in every college football program, we hear coaches say it takes 4 or 5 years to build anything, right? 3 years minimum, 4 or 5 years really. It just takes time. You got to get your own guys in, right? Got to get your own guys.
Got to get guys.
Got to get your own guys. It takes time to turn over a roster. Oh. And here comes Deion. And look, they're going to lose some games. I don't think TCU's that great this year. Their offensive line and defense are going to struggle, but they've got obviously they've got 2 Heisman candidates. It looks like, and
that shit was fun to watch. I don't care what anybody says.
They're going to be fun, even with Fox's commercials. That was fun to watch, which is pretty hard to do these days.
Yeah.
But he just flipped it quickly, and he every other coach has got to hate that. It's like, because I don't even know if it's the morally right thing to do to chase that many guys out of your program.
It's not.
No, it's not at all.
But it's not against the rules either.
So, and people, and right now everybody's Deion saying, now you all, everybody question me and all this stuff. I think it's still fair to fire back at him and say, yeah, there are a lot of kids whose lives you upended. You might actually be a douchebag and win. But there are a lot of coaches who are douchebags. So that's
why is he a douchebag?
Because you run a lot of kids out of the program and who committed to Colorado. They may have lives there. They may have ideas of getting
their ass, and he wanted
there.
to bring the Colorado program back to where it was in the 80s and the early 90s. I mean, come on.
All right. Well, but that's not my comparison to Jeff Blashill.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Jeff Blashill, Western Michigan, when I had been there, when I covered them in Kalamazoo, by the way, had been a dormant hockey program. This is just awful hockey program. And Jeff Blashill shows up in this first year and takes him to the NCAA tournament, gets a couple guys laid out of the USHL, couple NHL that just really had connections and instilled a culture and flipped a few things, and boom, a team that had been horrible the whole time I'd been there all of a sudden was it was like second in the CCHA and made the NCAA tournament, and he got hired by the Red Wings. And what it did is when I showed up to cover Michigan State, I got all these coaches, hockey coaches, and around there saying, well, it takes 8 years to build a hockey program and all this shit. And it was harder to believe because I had dealt with Jeff Blashill, who had just done it in 1 fucking year. And so it just became very difficult for the Danton Coles of the world, and the Tom Anassases to take their time building something. To me, it just spoke to MSU hiring the wrong guy. Like, I just saw Jeff Blashill do this in 1 year. And Western Michigan hasn't fallen off since, by the way, with different coaches. So that was my point. That's the Deion Sanders, Jeff Blashill.
That was perfect.
Thank you.
Absolutely made my night. But how many universities or athletic directors, presidents out there are bummed they didn't go after Deion Sanders? Because when he was out there looking for jobs at Jackson State, you knew he wasn't staying there very long. I'm like, in today's climate, is he not the perfect person for this?
I think he's perfect for certain places, and I saw a column on this. He would have been perfect for Auburn. He's perfect for the place. You don't need him in Alabama. You don't need him at certain places. He's perfect for the place that's playing second fiddle to somebody, that needs a jolt, that all of a sudden, if you're Auburn, you want to take over the juice in the state from Alabama, you hire Deion, right? And So I think there are places where that would have been a really good hire.
Like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed myself during that TCU Colorado game. So if Deion, as long as there's nothing really crazy going on at Colorado, I kind of enjoy it.
What is your third hot take?
All right. So I know your cable system is what, Comcast? You don't have to worry about.
Yep.
I know you've read about this or saw it on Twitter, but I just have to absolutely shit on one of these companies. And I think it's Disney that we're pissed at, because we do have Charter Spectrum cable out there. And not only did they yank all of the ESPN channels, now I don't know who did this, if it were Disney or if it was Charter, right before the game on Thursday, the Florida game, they just pulled the plug on it, leaving people like us, first world problems, all of a sudden sitting at a screen with one of those fucking little things on there that you take a picture of with your phone. Someone has – what do we do? By the way, do you have YouTube TV? Is that what we have to do? Because – and also –
I have Comcast, but yeah, you might have to, because I don't think you can get Comcast.
Let me ask you, because you're a smart person. Is there a chance that this gets worked out, or should we go YouTube TV just right away?
This seems like it could get bad, and from the things I've just read about it, and I it's horrible customer service to choose that time, because even if Spectrum is not completely in the wrong here,
but that shows you meant to do it at that specific time.
You needed to warn people more than this.
Yeah,
you need to give people a heads up. It's just shitting on your people, and there's a lot of stuff in the television landscape that's changing right now, and there's a lot of the next TV deals and media rights deals are going to be interesting, where things are, how much money there is to spend, how big live sports drive everything. They're still the only time that people actually watch commercials anymore in television.
But here's the thing, though. My one thing, I just don't want to fuck around. If the internet's good, the cable's good, okay, charge what you will. I know it's insane. When you start pulling channels and the internet's slow, that's when I start to have a problem.
Yeah,
fix it.
I think you're going to have to find it, and you might be able to do it for a month and just get YouTube TV for a month, and then
I'm not going. But why would I want to go back to, especially if Charter going to claim innocence, in this whole thing? And
you may not like the delays. You may not like. There could be things you don't like. A lot of people like YouTube TV. I'm not saying you will go back, but you may find other things you like about cable. But yeah, I wouldn't mess around too long. But
we always talk about it. I like cable because it's quicker than some of the apps.
It's mostly better.
That's pretty much it.
It's mostly better. Yeah, no, it's not cool. I think that the TV stuff, and we're going to get into that through some of the listener hot takes with Fox, and I'm going to start looking into this a little more. The Fox broadcast, and I'm not sure it's just Fox. I'm going to start timing commercials and number of commercials and doing some recording and comparing both of them. Oh. Because it's just bad. It's not a good product. It just isn't right now. And we'll get into that with some of the listener hot takes, because there's some others who agree. My third hot take, Michigan State's non-conference men's basketball schedule came out. Mm. You know what it's missing?
I'm not talking about Michigan.
A non-conference game on the road.
Mm. Don't coach my team.
No true road game. Mm. Now, they're in some neutral site stuff, but no true road game. We all know how I feel about that stuff. I am no longer an AP voter. Haven't been for a few years. So you don't have to worry.
Biggest mistake they've ever made.
They only do it. They're supposed to be 2-year terms. I did it for 4. Who knows? I could get asking this year, and I don't know if I have time to do it anymore. But I have not done it. I don't know if I could do it with the way we do the Sunday night show and everything. I am not a voter, so you don't have to worry. You won't see me drag down their ranking, Michigan State's ranking, by leaving them unranked. But I would if I were a voter, because I have to be consistent. Like, I can't not put Duke in the top 25 a few years ago and then put Michigan State in because I cover them. That number one, that's stupid. Or because I understand the reasons for it. And I do know why it happened. It wasn't intentional. This wasn't Michigan State just saying we're too big for a true road game. We don't see value in them. They thought they had a road game as part of a series against a top 20 team pretty late in the scheduling process, and it fell through. The other team said, no, it's hard to make adjustments late. I have a little sympathy for that. A little. Schools like MSU can always play road games. They're the big dogs, right? Mm-hmm. But this is more like when Ohio State played 8 home games last year in football than Michigan, because Ohio State had the late change with Notre Dame, so Ohio State's only got 6 at home this year because it was Notre Dame on the road. That it was more of a late unintentional thing that created that situation, other than what Michigan did, just blatantly playing 8 and then doing it again. Don't love it. And I think there is value. Like, people say, well, who really cares? They play all these top teams, and they play a lot of them in neutral site games, and they'll eventually play a lot of 10 true road games in the Big Ten. All of that's true. I'm not talking about what will matter for the team overall and how it develops. I'm talking about how an AP voter, though, has to judge a team. And where you learn about teams is on the road, in true road games, in other people's buildings, on their campuses, against their student sections, when shit goes wrong. That's how you learn about teams. And if some teams are playing those games and other teams aren't, it's very hard to judge what's what. And so I give teams a month when I had the AP vote, and after a month, if you hadn't played a true road game, I left you out of the top 25 just until you played one. Pretty simple, not offensive. If I get an AP vote back, don't think it's happening, but if somehow that happened this year, I would not include Michigan State until from December through January.
But doesn't it change because Izzo isn't known for ducking anyone?
It's not
kind of at any time, anywhere in his history. So I think just how many seasons has he done this?
No, again, they usually play one, and they got screwed by a couple other things. When they were looking at scheduling ahead, they didn't quite know when the ACC Big Ten Challenge was going to go away, and that would have been a road game this year. They thought so. There are circumstances. This wasn't them ducking it, and I'm not. Again, the intent that drives me insane when people duck it, like Duke did, and Duke does all the time.
No,
that does piss me off. But in terms of voting somebody in and being able to evaluate them, there is something to actually playing a road game and being able to compare apples to apples with other teams who've done it. And it's a principle I have, and I would have to stick with it. So.
Duck this, nerd.
So if Michigan State was number 1 and they fell to number 2 because my jackass didn't put them in the top 25 at all, that could happen.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like I'm going to have a vote, so you don't have to worry about it.
Do you have to start a petition or anything?
Do you have any more hot takes before we dig into the listener ones?
No, that was pretty much it.
Okay, you said you had like 5, so I was thinking.
Oh, no, they were just, if something else fell through.
Okay. All right.
I just put everything at one spot. Eric Schultz up first. Number 1. Look, we're paying the offensive coordinator $1.3 million. Don't tell me it looked like that in the first half because the talent isn't there. Figure it out or get him out. 2, in regards to Couch's column, the defense rescuing an incompetent offense isn't as refreshing as you think it is, Graham. And 3, on the bright side, Tucker's 2022 class has speed, size, and playmaking ability on both sides of the ball. By the time they're done here. We're going to love guys like Tyrell Henry and Dillon Tatum.
I do think that is a promising thing, that the idea that Tucker's is, as I always call it, first real class, right? It's the first class he recruited not on Zoom, that were his guys, looks promising. That you want to see, right? If the 2022 class is just kind of like, because the 2022, 2023, and 2024 classes are the key classes in that sense. And to your point, I do have the line in there about the defense rescuing the offense and how it was refreshing after all these years of bad defense. And I also understand how that could sound absurd.
It's fun to watch a good D.
Just hadn't seen it in a while.
Right.
Just hadn't seen them do that. I mean, the Illinois game last year was a game where the defense really played its part, but this was a game where the defense kept giving the ball back to the offense, did its part, and the second half was incredible. The amount of yards they had and a series of drives, like 5, 4, 1, 2, and I'm talking about Central Michigan, and just allowing the offense to find itself because the defense kept shutting them down. Again, a Central Michigan offense that does not really have access to the forward pass all that often, so things are going to change, but for what they were against, Michigan State's defense did well.
Dominic next. Number 1, if Graham doesn't pin down Jay Johnson or talk about the 4th and 1 shotgun shit, I will tag him on Twitter every single day and send snail mail to the LSJ. I want fucking answers for this domestic terrorism. And if Graham's lets coaches speak win out, I'll cancel my LSJ subscription. Threat. 2, the dramatic music from Spartan Speak is perfect. When it plays, I picture a shirtless Solari hanging from the bottom of a helicopter over shark-infested waters. Hang on, Solari. 3, Harry is a golden gambler, but it doesn't help Graham's no blue wall theory when home picks Michigan. Homie picks Michigan to cover and MSU to not every single week since 2019. Eric Schultz has crunched the numbers already, and it ends poorly for Couch as usual. Bonus. Hey, listener who wants to cancel the blue wall talk on this podcast. I see you. I hear you. I feel you. And the answer is no. I can't believe Rainer Saban created a burner account for that Go Blue Lexi 117. Would be so proud.
Great stuff from Dominic, as always. Yeah. The threatening to cancel the LSJ subscription is one threat I take very seriously. And when Jay Johnson's next available, I guarantee you he'll be asked about this, because I am not the only reporter either.
Are you going to preface it, though, to say, hey, Jay, by the way, this is I have to ask this, or someone's going to unsubscribe from the LSJ? Or are you just going to go into it?
Probably just go into it.
Okay.
But, maybe I could say that. If it's you have to read the room. So if, and Jay Johnson is a pretty easy guy to talk to. He's rarely in, a contentious mood.
Is he in the Shep Hall of Fame?
In terms of being a nice guy?
Yeah.
But if you recognize a coach is, in a bad mood and snapping at questions, and you're trying to get something out of them, you can soften it by, hey, this is what I'm hearing I'm getting a lot of these questions. I need to bring it to you.
Hey, did you see that new episode of Girls 5 Eva? Can you believe Kimberly? Am I right?
But that often takes accountability off the reporter. If you have that question, have the guts just to ask the question, and Jay will likely explain it. You may not love the answer, because I believe he explained it once, and he obviously wouldn't do it if he didn't think it would work. I don't think it's great. I don't. And
an answer you don't remember. So it couldn't have been that memorable, obviously.
I'm not saying it's 100% that he was asked this and answered.
Dude, you remember fourth grade what you had for lunch in September of '85?
I do.
You can't remember what the fuck Jay Johnson said about this 4th and 1 nonsense.
I remember.
There's a green wall, isn't there?
I remember what the lunch ladies looked like at Verlinden Elementary.
Yeah, no
it's not. Yeah, it's weird. There's certain things I remember and other things that are really important that I just escape.
I can remember what they look like. I don't know names.
For sure.
All right. Mark Snyder, next. Number 1, Keon Coleman would have had a monster season in this offense. 2, the never-ending stops in play for commercials will be the reason I don't renew season tickets someday. And 3, MSU should wear the block S on one side of the helmet semi-permanently.
These are really good. I do love the block S. I think it's a great classic look. But again, I was raised in the block S era, so I think we're all, partial to whatever gives us sentimental feelings, or just something we look cool. I mean, like the old Denver Broncos helmets. If the Broncos started wearing them, other people may think they don't look good, but because I was raised in the '80s, I think the old Denver Broncos helmets are incredible. The one with the old D and the horse coming through.
But that's you and I. I'm just concerned with 17, 18, and 19-year-old dudes.
Yeah.
What are they like?
No, so to number 2, though, I look, I think if you're in the stadium, I like the stops and play because I need it for the 3 quick takes column. But I think if you are there twiddling your thumbs, waiting for the game to start, it is awful. It's too much. It's overdone. And it's not going to create an experience that creates new fans, that creates young people thinking, I want to be in that stadium. It's not going to create experience for people watching TV thinking, I really want this. I'm going to pour 3.5 hours into my Saturday when there's more commercials than actual football. I think it's a problem. I think they misjudged this. I understand there's a lot of, finances tied to the revenue with the media rights deals and TV, and they've got to find a way to make that money. But you've got to be more creative than this. You have to. There are ways to advertise on TV without cutting away to a commercial constantly. For example, if you say this quarter is presented with limited commercial interruption by this company, I will fucking buy everything that company sells. I don't know if everybody does, but we should all appreciate that. Or you can do all sorts of things where, you have things in the corner, you do a box around it, you come in briefly with something, you split the screen during the changeover to the on the punts and do a mini commercial. There are lots of ways that would actually get more eyeballs, because what will happen? People will stay in the room. They're actually watching the game Whereas when you've got 6 commercials piled on each other, you know what nobody sees? Commercial 3, 4, and 5. They're out of the room. They're talking to somebody else. I don't think people in advertising, I'm sure they do some metrics and they've done some analysis on what people like. I think they're wrong here. And as somebody in the journalism business who's seen advertising people screw stuff up for 3 decades, I don't know that they're all that bright either. So I apologize to the advertising people, of course, and I didn't mean them. But I think they misread this, and I don't think it's good for the future of the game.
But they have to kind of do that with all of the money that's going to be
they have to
spread out now, so it's going to get worse, right?
And what's made it worse, though, now is you've taken some of the football away with the clock situation, so you have even less football, but the same amount of really bad commercials from last year, so the ratio is just worse.
I must have been properly high because I don't, like when I was reading that, I'm like, really? I thought the game went by just right. So maybe you just need more weed.
If you're doing the quick takes, you're rooting for every stoppage, and especially in the fourth quarter, you're like, can we get a minor injury? Nothing serious. You're just a minor injury to a
leg sweep them,
maybe to a streaker who comes onto the field or something. Not a player.
All right, JD next. Number 1, as frustrating and dumb that running a 4th and 1 play out of the shotgun is, if you can't get 1 yard against a team like CMU, you're probably in trouble. 2, Michigan should just change the lyrics in their fight song from "Hail to the Victors" to "Hail to the Victims." Holy smokes! How do you go full cringe on suspensions that you self-imposed? 3, I take it all back, Graham. Those commercial breaks make me want to not go back to a game ever again. Gripe away. And bonus. MSU goes 9-4 after an Outback Bowl victory.
Some real optimism there. The Michigan thing, did you see the
I did. That was
honoring the fallen Jim Harbaugh?
I was like, did Harbaugh die and I just missed it on Twitter or something? Or that was Jimmy Buffett. Because I was like, wow, what a tribute. Is Harbaugh sitting at home with just 1 tear coming down his cheek?
Look,
it's just weird.
It was weird. Yeah. It was cringe because he's not actually been persecuted.
Dude, if they did that for Tucker, I would be like, it's weird.
It's weird. It's weird. Is somebody who once wore I shouldn't tell this story because it involves more serious crime. But
sure should.
In high school, my former tennis coach, got arrested for something. And we all the next year got shirts that said "free his name" and had a saying on the back. By second hour, parents were calling in. Like, this was offensive. It was a very different thing. But what I mean is, kids do stupid things. Now, we were even in high school. We were younger.
Well, what was he being
charged with? I don't want to really get into that.
Does it rhyme with child porn?
No, but it's not great. It's not great.
So then why did you guys want him free? Or you just were doing it no matter what?
Because we're morons. We're high school kids. We wore the shirt. We thought the shirt was funny. We thought it was funny. And I think the Michigan players, with the free, they think it's funny. They think it's cute.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's
fine. I
don't
blame them.
Yeah. Kids are stupid, right? And there's, college football players may often look like grown men, but they're still 20-year-old morons, right? For the most part.
Did the police take your teachers' computers? Did they have a computer back then?
We didn't have the internet in school that year, so I don't know.
All right.
Yeah, it was bad. But anyway, it was just. We have another listener who put it well, who basically said it was cringe. It's just unnecessary, and it makes you. It's not something that's serious. And look, I don't think it's this thing to overreact to tremendously, and there was a little of that on social media as well. But I mean, it's very like if I were Harbaugh, I wouldn't want that.
Oh please, that's right in his wheelhouse.
I wouldn't let it happen. Right, it's very plays into who people perceive Harbaugh to be. That's what.
Hey, Jim, this is awkward as fuck. Oh, I don't care. This is great. Jack Hagala next. Number 1, I think the consensus should still be out on Noah Kim. He needs to make more consistent throws first. 2, Jay Johnson needs to call plays to inspire confidence in Kim, and maybe that slow start doesn't happen. And 3, defensive adjustments for the second half equal positive sign for coaching.
Yeah, I thought they did a nice job of figuring out how to corral him, Burt Manuel Jr. and playing pretty with a lot of discipline and tackling in space. I think the consensus still is out on Noah Kim. I think he rescued an awful vibe with the way he finished. But it's not just about doing that against Central Michigan. He's going to have to do it in a game where he's going to have to help them win the game. He's going to have to go toe-to-toe with Michael Penix in a couple weeks. And Michael Penix is going to, even if Michigan State's defense plays well, Michael Penix is going to throw for 275, 300 yards, and a couple touchdowns.
In the first half or whole game?
Maybe in the first half. But I'm saying best case scenario, Washington is going to get to like 20, 25 points, and their quarterback is going to be a problem at times. There's no way around that. He's really good. And so Noah Kim, on the other hand, on the other side, has to be a quarterback who can go toe-to-toe with that. And that's what we'll begin to find out.
Max Spade next. Number 1, Maliq Carr isn't a bust yet, but he's bust adjacent. Good-looking end zone catches won't cut it. He has to catch passes in stride. 2, I read somebody's take that Noah Kim looks like Johnny Football. Same build and can run. Even has that same flat-footed delivery. It's not a compliment. 3, if the conferences are going to have 18 teams, then go ahead and have a 16-team playoff, plus automatic berths for teams that win their conference and finish in the top 25. And bonus, DTE sucks.
You had some issues with DTE this year, right?
No, we don't. No.
Where did you go? Pine Knob, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Pine Knob Matchbox 20 concert.
Yeah, that's right. That was
insanity.
That was not great. So let's get into the Maliq Carr comment here. That he isn't a bust yet, but he's bust adjacent. I think Maliq Carr's problem is he's too heavy. And I think he's just got to drop a few. I think he's a guy, and this happens to young guys who are unbelievably gifted as athletes. Like 185 pounds in great shape. And I wasn't even a college athlete who had all the kinds of time to do that with a potential lucrative NFL career ahead. I just knew I was growing into being a fat journalist, and I still was in shape.
Valid.
Okay.
Yeah, you turned that one around. Steve Beckman next. Number 1, if the NCAA wanted suspensions to really mean something, they'd work back from the end of the schedule. The Michigan outrage over missing Purdue, Penn State, Maryland, and Ohio State would be delicious. 2, the Buick field goal kick challenge is worn out. And 3, Spectrum is the beginning of the end of ESPN and all cable.
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, ESPN is going to go away from, I think, being on, they're looking to be a separate entity right now, right? That you can subscribe to them and how much people will pay for that. It is going to be a fascinating couple years in television. And I think we were a little bit ahead of the game in 2017 when we were talking about media rights deals and whether with streaming there would be the same amount of money coming into these. I'm very curious to see like the worth of all of these sporting events in 2030. They might be worth even more. Again, is everything is certainly in the live TV platform, which I think the network television platform is fewer things draw huge ratings, as it's harder to get people to watch actual commercials. And live TV is a place you do that. I think the money might still be there, but I'm curious to see where this goes with ESPN. And I mean, ESPN is still the giant. It's still side of the standard. But this is the Spectrum thing. I think pissed a lot of people off. And
yeah, but you do it at 2 p.m. I mean, I'll still be pissed after the fact. But
should have done it August 15th. You give people 2 weeks heads up to let them know it's coming. And maybe they did and people missed it, but you didn't know, did you?
No, I had no idea.
Right.
Paul next. Nebraska, Minnesota, Indiana, and Iowa all look beatable. MSU season hinges on those games. Anywhere between 8-4 and 4-8 is possible. Those teams are who MSU has to measure themselves against this year.
I think this is a good take from Paul in the sense that eventually you don't want teams that are in the middle of the pack to be who you're measuring yourself against. But there is something to that. You want to see that you're, I think there's a good point there. I also think he's right that those teams look beatable. Iowa, I am curious to watch where this goes. They did not look as good as I thought they'd be. And I want to
start off good.
They did. And then it wasn't. So let's see where they are by the time. I still think that's a really hard place to win at Kinnick Stadium. But that offense doesn't look like it's a group that's going to run away from Michigan State, and especially Michigan State's defense is better. And then you're in a game, and so that will be a real test for is that actually winnable? Nebraska and Minnesota did not look like great teams. We knew Minnesota lost a lot of guys. Nebraska, is not supposed to be great this year. Indiana hung with Ohio State for a while. I'm not hung with them, but it didn't get out of hand, which may say more about Ohio State. I don't know what Indiana is yet, but they're not supposed to be very good. You're right. I mean, we've talked about Michigan State's schedule being so tough, but there are also a lot of winnable games on there.
Jay Riemenschneider next. Number 1, can we please stop with the if Mel Tucker had done that, you know what would have been said, or if this was MSU, you know who would have or what would have happened. We don't know anything because it hasn't happened. 2, this realignment isn't about media markets, it's brands. That's why teams like Bama or Penn State and small markets are coveted because they are top 10 ratings drivers, whereas teams like Northwestern or Cal in the top 10 media markets get no viewers, which means they get no love from TV networks. 3, I'm no sappy person, but after hearing some stories of what some of those kids go through, anybody that can still hate a rival's team's players just because they play for the rival is a total loser of a human being.
Let's do number 2 here. I think that's everybody knows that's it, right? It is brands. It's the big matchups. You can be in a small town. You can be at Happy Valley State College, PA, which is in the middle of nowhere. Penn State is a massive football brand with a huge alumni base, and it's 100% true. The days of worrying about, hey, let's get the Bay Area market, that really matters. Those are over. It's just different. Rutgers would not be part of the Big Ten if it had happened a decade later. Nobody gives a shit about New York. I mean, about getting on a cable system in New York, which was what was really important back then with the Big Ten network. It's just different. And so I don't know that that's good, though, because you can see with the TV people, they're starting to really prioritize, hey, we just want these huge matchups. Screw everybody else. Throw Oregon State's players and people, into the ocean. We just do not give a shit. And I don't think it's good for college sports.
Plus size softball dad next. Number 1, a real team would have defeated MSU by 20. 2, can't convert a 4th and 1 against CMU. You can't win. And 3, 4 wins tops.
This is the most pessimistic view of any of our listeners.
Plus size, yeah.
Yeah. Again, CMU could not be very good. Michigan State could still not be very good. And that was not proven that they were good. I can understand number 2, but it's just that why not try a quarterback sneak instead of the shotgun? And he's right, though. If you can't really get a yard in shotgun, but yeah, and
quarterback sneak.
The push up front is a concern. There's no doubt about that. It was not. There were times where it was okay. There's some, they obviously rushed the ball pretty efficiently overall, but getting tough yards, and they get Mangum back maybe this week. They get a bigger back, and we'll see how that works. But you got to be able to get tough yards to win games, and there should be some concern there.
Suburban Spartan dad with everyone's favorite Debbie Downer take. Not saying we need Freep-style FOIA requests, but we need some clarity on how Alante Brown was back in the game. Guys don't get hit and go into the fencing position, arms rigid, and not be concussed. This could blow up on MSU if there isn't a good explanation. And 2, happy take. Dillon Tatum will be an all Big Ten player before he graduates.
So to his first take here, a couple things. One, when you tell a newspaper, if you brand a newspaper by their FOIA request, that's actually a good thing. That's like being a watchdog. That's what you're supposed to do, filing FOIAs. However, I agree that there needs to be some clarity on how Alante Brown was back in the game and then wasn't later. And it's starting to pick up some traction on Twitter from people who are in the concussion world and not just opposing fan bases, because and I'll give Mel Tucker this break right after the game. During the game, he's not dealing with that. One thing college football has done pretty well is they've taken it out of coaches' hands, right? It's the medical people that approve. So he doesn't really know. Those answers have to come this week, though, because it looked like a concussion. I mean, the way his arms were, the way it looked like a concussion. Guys who look like that after a hit probably shouldn't play in the same game. And I'm sure they ran tests. I'm sure there were things. And then so he's back in, and then he's not later. Like, what changed? I just think there needs to be a little bit of an explanation there, so that people and maybe there's a decent one. We're
going to wear padded helmets by what, 2028?
Well, they already wear.
I mean, Yeah, but those ones they wear in practice that go over them, kind of like the Don BB.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, it's.
And I guess it'll be it if they have to go.
Well,
that way.
yeah, you got to keep the sport alive, and I think the sport has a better chance of surviving because of all the concussion protocols and awareness that's happened. The number of guys who retire early, the fact that you sit out multiple weeks now if you get a concussion often, whereas pre-2007, you just kept playing a lot. You played the next week. Sometimes they didn't even know it in the same game. I mean, we shouldn't even test guys' brains who played football before 2007 because we're going to get the same results. They're all screwed. It's the group after that is going to matter for the future of football.
We need Brett Favre.
But
it's got to be unreal.
But with Alante Brown, we do need some answers. And Mel Tucker's press conference is Monday. Will be interesting to see if he can give anything then. And if he can't, then I think we need to ask other people within MSU to try and figure that out. And
yeah, you asked that green wall, Graham.
You sound like
yep.
Cody and Billy Bob Thornton and U of M guy all in one.
I don't have many impressions, Graham. Jeff Peterson next. Number 1, Coach Tucker did himself no favors enlisting confidence from the fan base. 2, why has it taken us 3 seasons to see meaningful defensive adjustments at halftime? And 3, the Tigers are becoming fun once again.
Are the Tigers fun still for you? No. Yeah.
No. I'm sick of the Miggy. I just can't wait till the Miggy thing's over.
I don't think they're unfun. Losing Riley Green for the rest of the year kind of sucks, but they're going to hit the over on the over under, and I think there's hope for next year. I think
so. You have to get a tattoo.
What was the tattoo? No, I didn't. You can't make up tattoo bets, man, because I'll forget that I.
Jeff Peterson next. Number 1.
We just did that one.
Oh shit, Craig Robinson. Number 1. Please stop defying college football coaches, people. It's cringe. 2. We are going to see lots of surprise, great quarterback play throughout the country this year. It's got that vibe. And 3, I know they still have Richmond, but Penix will terrify us once again. They look even better this year.
DFI, he like worship college football coaches, and I do think there is it is. I don't get this. I mean, I understand people care about their school and their team, but you don't know Mel Tucker. You don't know Jim Harbaugh.
Okay.
And
what does that have to do with it?
I'm just saying, don't stick up for these guys blindly when you don't actually know what's.
Go ahead.
What they. You're a grown. You're a grown up. You're a grown up. Just there's just no reason for this. They wouldn't do the same for you. It's one of the things I can't stand. I don't.
But if you don't do that kind of stuff, why are you looking at that stuff?
What do you mean? What are we talking about?
I'm saying on Twitter, if you're seeing Michigan fans and they're defending Harbaugh blindly, why are you?
Michigan State fans do it with
I know,
Mel
but
too.
I don't see that either on my Twitter feed. That's what I mean.
You have a great Twitter feed.
I do not. I'm just saying. I don't go looking for that stuff. That's what I'm saying. Pat Caverly next. Number 1.
Jonathan B next. Sorry.
Shit, I scroll too long here. Oh, Jonathan B. I'm sorry. Number 1, for all the deserved Nathan Carter hype, Jalen Berger also looked really good, especially catching the ball out of the backfield. 2, Michigan is going to be jealous of how hard Fox was slobbering on Colorado's knob. 3, young men of Atlanta sounds like a soccer team that Graham would coach.
I appreciate you. Yeah, you do have to wonder if Joel Klatt's going to send an email and say, "Hey, that was a little much on Colorado, guys. Let's tone it down."
I don't know. I had the volume off.
Yeah.
Pat now. Caverly. Number 1, Katin Hauser not playing until the last 3 minutes makes it seem like the quarterback competition wasn't really that close. 2, Kim hitting the 47-yarder with plenty of room to spare raised the ceiling for the season more than any other play. And 3, after watching Penix on Saturday, MSU has a better chance of beating Michigan than they do Washington. That's a hot take.
Well, look, it could be true. If Washington is the real deal and has a quarterback that's going to put up a million yards, it could be true. The Jonathan Kim, let's go take number 2 here. The Jonathan Kim field goal, the other Kim, the 47-yarder, it would have been good from 55, I do think was a really important kick. I also think it was the perfect kick for him because a 47-yarder, nobody's necessarily
it's hot in here.
Yeah, expecting you to make it. And if you've got a big leg and you're not somebody who's necessarily known for their accuracy because you've not been the starting kicker somewhere else, it takes the pressure off a little bit, where if it's a 35-yarder, you better hit that thing. That said, I thought it was the fact that they've got a guy that any time inside of 55 yards has got a chance. I think in the fact that he made his first kick and they made all their extra points, I thought was really,
you got a kicker now.
Was really important for Michigan State.
How many people were like, "Oh my God, Noah Kim's kicking too"? They're asking so much out of this kid.
What a guy!
DMB. Number one, saw Johnny Spirit begging for a ticket outside the stadium Friday night before the kickoff. Pathetic. 2, Tucker should have given Hauser a shot in the second quarter when the offense was struggling. 3, I liked your column, Graham, but we won't know much about this team until Washington.
No, you're right, but I do have to write more columns before the Washington game, so you're going to get more takes. I don't know that he knows where Katin Hauser is, Mel Tucker and Jay Johnson, and if he is, they know he's not the quarterback that Noah Kim is based on everything they see in practice. I actually give them the counter to this. I give them credit for sticking with Kim, and I think they would have into the second half, because if you think he's your best shot at having a good quarterback this year, you don't want to destroy his confidence too early. Now, I don't know how much longer what was going on through that first half could keep going. If you got into like the middle of the third quarter and it's 7-3 Central Michigan and you're overthrowing everybody, I don't think you have a choice but to look at somebody else. But I do give them credit for trusting what they knew. They told him longer than we didn't know anything about this, and they told Noah Kim like 10 days before that he was going to be the starting guy, which means they weren't waiting till deep into the camp. They knew who the guy was. It had become evident to them.
Yeah, we don't have enough time for all of that.
It's Craig Dodger next. Number one, after watching freaking Colorado beat TCU, the Mel Tucker hire looks worse by the day. You can't come out making that kind of money a few years into a job and put out that first half product if you're MSU's coaching staff when primetime does that on day one. Mel and company fail.
Well, it helps if your kid is like a superstar quarterback too, right?
But wasn't he a superstar at like Jackson State?
Yeah, but he was a guy who had a big-time offers. He went there because his dad was there. But, yeah, I mean, this is something that Deion is not good for the rest of coaches, because the counter to every coach who says I need time is, well, Deion didn't. Let's see what happens over the course of the year. And
Deion brings a whole presence. You can't just do that with some just standard white dude, right?
Well, Mel Tucker's not a standard white dude.
I understand that. I'm saying other coaches.
Yeah.
To try to, it's a different kind of thing with Dia. Greeny Green 777. Number one, binge listening to this show is better than binging many Netflix shows. 4 months worth in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Jesus.
Appreciate you.
Must have got a lot of sleep. 2, an early MLB season podcast had it all. Pure theater. You both sounded defeated with bad betting advice on being able. I bet the Tigers successfully, as previously predicted. You sounded shook. 3, I heard comparisons of Noah Kim to Peyton Thorne during the game. Maybe it's just Jay's offensive play calling. The Kim haters early on when he struggled in the first half are just as bad as those claiming Hauser's poor drive in garbage time is proof Kim should have had the starting job. And bonus. Muskox is them. Grabbed a flannel for Father's Day, and customer service was exceptional.
Appreciate you, Greeny. And, by the way, right now, great deals, again, for the Labor Day sale through Monday at gomuskox.com. You'll see the tab right at the top of the website. Click on that for $35 off your 3 seasons flannel. And as we get into football season, I'm telling you that you enjoy the comfort, the durability, and the way you look. I mean, even a couple fat oafs like me and Jason look good in a Muskox flannel. And anytime you go to gomuskox.com, use the promo code HOFF, H-O-F-F, for $15 off for Couch in the Rube listeners. Again, gomuskox.com. And for every $100 purchase, $10 is donated to the Wildlife Conservation. Very cool stuff. Fall collection is out. And again, gomuskox.com.
Can you do me a favor and say, Hoff, Hoff,
Hoff, Hoff? You get that clip?
Noted.
All right, thank you.
Elon.
Hold on. I want to get to one. First of all, 4 months of shows in 2 weeks.
Jesus.
I mean, that is a level of commitment. No.
I mean,
we're that good, man.
Thank you.
Yeah,
No, I know.
it's great.
Thank you.
It's incredible.
But Jesus, why?
Yeah, no. There was a moment with the Tigers where we thought early on, based on how bad they were against the Devil Rays, that we were going to be, or that
they were tough to figure out.
And then we were losing money, and it was bad. Appreciate Greeny Green.
Elon Musk next. Number 1, being an MSU fan has been nutso since D'Antonio, and last night's highs and lows encapsulated that from shit to diamonds. 2, CMU had a good quarterback, and both lines were good, and State had jitters. There were no red flags, and this is cleaned up by the Washington game. 3, Jay Johnson and Mel Tucker have low football IQs, and boneheaded play calling shows it. Not declining penalties on third down, shotgun rushes, bad timeouts, like a lot of admins in higher ed. They pad their resumes, make money, and accomplish nothing.
It's a pretty harsh take.
Sounds personal.
Yeah, sounds awful. But I do believe they did have some nervous energy to them at the beginning. I don't believe that was off. I think you come out and you got a lot of guys in new roles, and it looked like it. And if it hadn't come together, like I understand people want them to look great out of the gate, and there's some players who are talented enough and have the moxie to do it. Michigan State's guys needed it. I think the frustrating thing early on was a couple of the guys who weren't making the plays, Maliq Carr and Trey Mosley, both had big drops, are guys you expect at this point in their careers to make those plays. It's one thing, you shouldn't need it to be Jaron Glover and Terrell Henry, the ones making the play, and those guys were fantastic. I mean, I think that receiver group, the 2022, the redshirt freshman, sophomore receiver group, has a chance to give them real difference makers.
Kurt Wisniewski next. Number 1, if I see another 4th and short shotgun handoff, Jay, we're throwing down. 2, great to see MSU play a better second half and see the young receivers play well. And 3, wasn't fair for Katin Hauser to be thrown in at the end. The kids got skills but needed to play in the third quarter.
So I understand that it's I don't think it's fair to judge Katin Hauser for what looked like a rough showing in a very, very limited window. That's not one throw. It's not fair to judge him. But I don't think he needed to play earlier. If you know he's not your guy, and there's a chance that, and I mean, you're trying to win football games here, and that game wasn't out of reach for a while. You're going to play your best quarterback, and I think they're pretty confident right now that that's Noah Kim.
Gavin Haas next. Number 1, Noah Kim can't play as inconsistently as he did last night. If it continues, we have a problem at the quarterback position that's going to drag on throughout the season. 2, the defense will be the strength of this year's MSU team. Scotty Hazelton has earned 100% of my trust, and he's the most reliable coach on the coaching staff as of right now. Dillon Tatum and Jaden Manningham are going to be the X factors on the defensive side all year. And 3, Jaron Glover finishes as MSU's number 1 wide receiver by the end of this year, with Tyrell Henry behind him as the number 2. The flashes and potential shown last night by the young receivers was probably the most exciting part of the game.
No, I agree with number 3. That and maybe the defensive play. The Hazelton flip here, earned 100% of my trust, young Gavin said, and is the most reliable coach on the coaching staff as of right now. We'll have to go back and check some of Gavin's takes from previous episodes and see how he feels. It is interesting, though, again, with all these coaches, and you go back to Pat Narduzzi, who in 2009 people wanted to run out of town. It doesn't take much for things to start working and some good play for people to change how they feel about somebody. I think the jury's still out on Hazelton, but I do think he was up against it the last couple of years in terms of the guys he lost, the depth they didn't have. I thought in 2021 he did a nice job in a lot of ways, given the limited personnel they had, being willing to do the bend but don't break stuff, just sort of survive out there, which is an ego check for defensive coordinators. And this year will be a lot more telling because I think they ought to be better.
Brian Mahoney next. Number 1, I don't get people complaining about lack of quarterback going under center on 3rd and 4th and short. The only thing you lose by going to gun is the threat of a quarterback sneak. The running back gets the ball in the same spot, 4 to 5 yards deep, with a better field of vision. All right. 2, whatever. Fox College football is by far the worst viewing experience. Touchdown, 5-minute commercial break. Kickoff, 5-minute commercial break. Brutal to sit through. 3, Penix looks good again. Damn it.
Yeah, the commercial breaks do feel like 5 minutes. They're not quite, because I see the clock that goes up at Spartan Stadium, but it is ridiculous. We'll get to the bottom of this. We need to ask a number of coaches what they think, offensive coaches, about running in short yardage out of the shotgun or operating out of the shotgun, the advantages, the disadvantages. I think it does take away the QB sneak, which I think is one of the things you have, though, and you want all the
So say
there.
that. Say that part.
But we will find out.
Takes 2 seconds to answer. Gator. Number 1, holy fuck. How do we petition to not have those 2 in the booth ever again? 2, Graham, every time you speak for Spartan fans, example, Justin Spiro show, you come across as a blue wall scum fan. Mr. Jason in the spin zone. 3, this MSU D is going to finish in the top 4 of the Big Ten. Love you guys.
Appreciate you, Gator.
Hold on.
Caution.
I got to play it for
You are
him.
about to enter the spin zone with noted newspaper columnist and radio host Graham Couch.
Every time I speak for Spartan fans, I come across as a blue wall scum fan. So it means I'm missing the mark in terms of trying to do that.
Did you drive yourself to the Spiro interview? Or?
I did.
Interesting.
Yeah,
All right.
I did. I did that Thursday night.
Did you get a cigar?
I didn't. He offered me,
Money?
No, he offered me a
Pizza.
drink. It was a good time. No, and it was a good conversation. Enjoyed it quite a bit. Had been wanting to do that for a while, and wife was out of town, and it wound up being the perfect night to do it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Kevin from Rochester Hills. Number 1, Noah Kim is an upgrade at quarterback and a potential Heisman winner. 2, Colorado will be in the college football playoff. And 3, U of M is the most overrated team in the country and will lose 4 games.
Hot takes from Kevin. Hot takes.
I don't know.
Potential Heisman winner from Noah Kim. Colorado in the playoff without an offensive line or defense. And Michigan, most overrated
2 is
team in the
possible.
country. You think Colorado has a chance to get in the playoffs?
Sure. Why not? Travis Hunter, I mean, the guy's playing on both sides of the ball. Who knows? But they have the talent. I don't care if TCU is not as good as they were last year and they're missing some guys coming back or whatever. I mean, it's still impressive. You go into their house.
It was absolutely impressive. They've got some impressive pieces. They've got some playmakers. That offensive line was wearing down in that game. Their defense is going to struggle at times, and they're still in the Pac-12 this year, which still exists and has a number of really, really good teams, including like Washington. I mean, again, yeah, I'm not one to doubt after what they just did that they're not going to be a factor. I think they're going to be a threat in a lot of games. I can't imagine that they're in serious. I still think, like, if you told me over under 6.5, I would take the under.
Bazooka time.
You think they're just going to win 6 games?
I think there's a real chance. Well, hold on. Give me some Hoff for 1 second.
Hoff. I got some new Hoff. Oh.
That doesn't sound new. There we go. All right. Good song. Here's the schedule. Nebraska at home, and Nebraska's, they could beat Nebraska, no question. Colorado State at home, rivalry game, they could win that game. So you're right, maybe they get to 3. Then they're at Oregon. They host number 6 USC. Again, number 6 doesn't matter, and we don't know yet. They host USC. They go to Arizona State, that's not that good, so that could be 4. They host Stanford, I don't think that's good. Maybe that's 5. They go to UCLA, probably lose that. Oregon State, who's a top 20 team right now, looks really good, probably lose that. Arizona, Colorado could win that, so that's 6. At Washington State, toss up, so they could get to 7. Then at Utah, so they could get to 7 if everything goes well. I think 7 or 8 is their ceiling. I would still take under 6.5 if you gave me that bet.
Wow. Professor next. Number 1, MSU's O-line was a bright spot, immaculate pass protection. Bonus, 3 hot takes. equals repeats upon repeat. Double bonus. $30 to park on campus is egregious.
It's a lot. It's what the Journal pays for me to park right outside the building. Not the LSJ, outside of Spartan Stadium.
Yeah, of course. They wouldn't make you walk.
Yeah. No, there's no question there are some there's a repetitive nature to our hot take shows after games. We haven't figured out how to fix that. It's easy with the Twitter questions because I can just eliminate some or combine different people's questions. The hot takes, we sort of have this 3 hot takes rhythm. So again, like I brought up earlier, if you think a lot of other people are going to have a hot take, but you've got a couple others, and you only have to have 1 or 2 too. That,
but you've done a good job at thinning them out, like kind of.
Yeah.
People are going on the same.
Yep, and we don't talk about the same one over and over. We try not to do that.
Derek next. Number 1, Katin Hauser will never play a meaningful snap for MSU. 2, this team will finish 7-5 with 1 huge upset and 1 gut-wrenching choke job. 3, Tottenham is better without Harry Kane, and Big Ange is going to transform you into a Tottenham supporter with his front foot style of play. Hope all is well.
I am enjoying this Tottenham team. I have to say I hate them less than I did.
Who's Big Ange?
He's the coach now at Tottenham. So let's go to 1 though here. Katin Hauser will never play a meaningful snap for MSU. I mean, this is probably still more unlikely than not. But I mean, you could see a scenario in which Noah Kim is the quarterback all this year, and Sam Levitt, who is, probably more heralded actually than Katin Hauser was coming out of high school, big-time talent, true freshman, winds up being the next guy. So it's absolutely possible that happens. It's going to happen to somebody when you have a situation like this. And I'm not going to judge Katin Hauser because I haven't seen enough of him. It just is clear he didn't win this starting quarterback job. He's only a redshirt freshman. He's been on campus 18 months maybe. So could still have a 3-year career as Michigan State starter and set all sorts of records and take them all sorts of places. But he didn't win the job now. And that is the data we have at hand, and there is a really talented guy behind him. So this is not that hot a take, to be honest. Although meaningful snap seems unlikely because he is the number 2. That means healthy year entirely for Noah Kim.
Some dude next. Number 1, just doing some very rough math here. Tuck's salary is $10 million. Rest of staff, another $10 million. Maybe an NIL at $13 million. I know the money doesn't work out that way, but honestly, a $33 million budget for those things seems very reasonable. Jared Goff will make $31.2 million this year. Sorry, Jason. Agree with you, Graham, that MSU may not get all the way there, but maybe we'll end up getting a lot closer. And 2, I wonder if suffering through the TV timeouts would be easier if Graham didn't point out to me how bad they suck and could be fixed. This will surely become my reason to eventually reduce in-game attendance.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think they're misreading this. I think the TV execs and I think the conference administrators and university administrators, they may know it and they may think this is the best way to money right now, but they aren't. They're not doing it correctly, I don't think. Interesting first point, the idea that how much it would actually cost to have the winning football program you want. Now, keep in mind, there's a lot else that goes into it. When you look at the overall budget for Michigan State football, it's like $40 million already without NIL. So there's a lot more that it costs that goes in. The question is, can you hit your donors up for $12 to $13 million a year? And I don't think you can. Not at MSU. I don't think you can a lot of places. I mean, it was a huge deal. I remember when Dan Gilbert gave like $15 million years ago, and he's got loads of money. People aren't rich because they're morons. I don't think anywhere that 10 years from now people are going to be giving, individual donors $2-3 million a year with zero return other than their team winning. You're going to have to figure out some other way. It's not tax deductible. It's not. You can't write it off. Like there's lots of things that I don't see this system being the long-term system the way it is right now in terms of the collectives. NIL will exist. There'll be places where there's more money than others, where there's more passion for the sport than others, where more of the money people care. But I don't. And again, maybe that's where MSU has to try to get to, and it'll be interesting to see if they could try to do that for a year. The other thing, though, they've got to do enough to make people believe in this coach, because on one hand, you can say, well, you've got to give for the coach to be able to win enough to get what you want, but people don't want to give if they're not sure the money's going to be spent wisely on the right players or it's going to matter. And so Tucker needs to show enough this year. If there's an uptick in winning, if there's promise, then donors are more likely to give to NIL. But the school's also got to be clear about where they want that money to go. And they want donors giving to other projects and other things too. It's a tricky situation, and it's going to be interesting to watch over the next few years.
One Ball Baney next. Number one, great to see Spartan Stadium stripped up to kick off the year. 2, my daughter has season tickets again this year, going into her junior year at MSU. And when I asked her how it was going in the student section, she said, I don't know. I'm at Harper's. I sold my tickets for $90. Some poor freshman got hoodwinked for that price gouge. 3, nice job, Izzo, for calling Spencer Tillman Solomon during Friday's telecast. Hey, it happens to the best of us. One ball bonus take. To our newest listeners, I do have 2 balls, but I'll forever be one ball on the couch in the Rube show.
Appreciate you, Clint.
Dude, you have 2 balls? You've had 2 balls this whole time?
I think it's just a bit.
What's the bit? To have 1 ball?
1 ball is the bit.
Is that like stolen valor from people that have 1 ball? He was one ball Baney. He has 2 balls.
If you had 1 ball, would you tell people that you would, or would you? If
it would come up somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it would be a story. If you had 1 ball, we'd already know about it.
Yeah.
I was hoping that would just bring about a story.
You just don't take one of those testicles out. If something has to happen.
Yeah, right. No, it's the. I respect Clint's daughter here. That is some gouging. $90 for a freshman, for a student ticket to go to 1 game. I mean, that's
for 2 tickets or something.
Well, no, I think it's just 1. She said she sold her ticket. I don't know.
Why would you want to go that bad?
Yeah. It's
have nice TVs now.
Yeah, wow, that's impressive. Well done.
Treese, weekend highlights. 2 giant sacks of bullshit, apparently. Number 1, downloads now going up. If it's been bothering me for weeks. 2, Indiana playing Ohio State first weekend. Who decided they should start with a powerhouse conference opponent? Fuck the Big Ten for that one.
Appreciate you, Therese. Okay.
Quite the language on this lady.
Yeah. Jeez. What does she mean by downloads now going up? What is
that was one of her other hot takes where like on the new browser, I think on Microsoft, when you download something, it goes up instead of down.
Yes. Yeah. No, I've noticed that too. It was a shitty first opponent. The good news for Indiana is Ohio State clearly hasn't hit its stride. You probably weren't going to win that game anyway. You get it out of the way. You don't feel horrible about yourself. I don't think Indiana's in a bad spot coming out of that game. Everybody thought it was going to be a lot worse than 21-3.
I will say that was her actual take. I said it was impressive when she dropped that number 2. I was like, oh,
that's awesome. Yeah. By the way, little breaking news. Keon Coleman just caught his 2nd touchdown pass for Florida State.
I saw that.
Has both their scores tonight. So
Ryan Kelly.
That is.
What does that mean?
I'm just saying he's good. You know, I mean, Did you watch Peyton Thorne's performance against?
I would have loved to, but fucking Disney can eat my ass.
Right. I watched a little of it. He looked fine. I mean, it was, I don't think they're going to be that good. They take him out.
Michigan State had a bad first half.
They take him out for the other quarterback at the goal line. You know, they have a goal line package for the running guy. But it looks like he's
touchdowns.
Yeah,
2 first half.
Keon Coleman, first half. Yeah, he would have had a big year for MSU.
He's good. Says Graham.
Yeah.
Andrew Gauthier next. Number 1, Jonathan Him. 2, the QB situation went from a battle to a settled issue real quick. Seems odd. 3, Maliq Carr has the potential to be an all-time great tight end and seems intent on falling short. I get dropping passes, but there was too much talk of him jogging out routes. Bonus. We still have no idea how good or bad this MSU team might be.
100% agree with that. 147%. The Carr thing is, they talked a big game about him too, and so it's interesting to see him be inconsistent. And he's got if there's a guy who's a prototypical NFL tight end. Like he should be a guy in today's NFL that is a first couple round pick that has a long career there, but
Malik, do you see other tight ends in the NFL Notice something
Right,
not out of shape?
Yeah, the NFL is and I don't know. Out of shape. I don't know if is the right word. I'm sure he's in great shape. I mean, they run all these conditioning tests. They run all the time. What I mean is, I think he's just carrying a little too much weight. I don't think he's out of shape. There's a difference between carrying a little more weight than is probably best for your peak ability than being out of shape. I guarantee you, he's not out of shape. I mean, that's not possible given what
compared to who
what they do.
No, all right.
That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
All right. Ryan Schultz next. Number 1, Graham does some homework and looks up the success rate of 4th and 1 conversions under Jay Johnson that were runs up the middle out of shotgun. He finds that it's well below 50%, then has the audacity to ask about it at Jay's next press availability. 2, Graham saying that the game last night was anything like what MSU fans are looking for is the most spin zone thing I've ever seen you write. It was impressive. We looked worse than a one-dimensional MAC team for an entire half. That's not overshadowed by the in-game growth that we saw.
I mean, it's a fair point. But I also think that you are what you are looking for in a game, right, is growth. What you're looking for from a team is growth, and we saw that. So the two things can be true, that they did for a half look worse in certain ways than a one-dimensional MAC team.
But that's a whole half of a football game.
It is.
It's a lot.
But it wasn't the second half, at least.
But that's not what fans were expecting. They didn't want it to go that way.
I think most fans left the game just based on the comments I've gotten and other things, I think most fans left the game feeling a little bit optimistic. And that was based on how they grew into the game.
Sure. Lucas next. Number 1, Noah Kim needs to ball out more against Richmond or we have a problem. He can't throw a consistent short mid-ball. 2, MSU's defense came to play. If they hadn't figured CMU out, we might be talking about a buyout today. Oof. 3, can't do 7 buds and a fireball shooter before the game anymore.
We all hit that age, Lucas. Yeah. No, there's that moment in life.
How old is Lucas? What are you talking about?
Well,
7 beers and a fireball shot? I mean, but those are former alcoholic critiquing, but, you know.
So when you used to go to games in your drinking days, how much would you drink beforehand? Because, again, you've got to drink. He's talking about before the game. Then you've got like 3-4 hours of staying engaged, and then you got to get home. Like, how much would you drink before a game?
I never really counted. I just had a cooler full of beer, and then Jaeger was involved. So probably 3 to 4 shots of Jaeger in like a 12-pack. By the way, what was up with there was 2 Spartan fans that tailgated for 12 hours for that game?
Did they? I didn't see that. What was that about?
I know.
Was the LSJ had it or something? I missed it?
I hope so.
Yeah, 12.
It's on my subscription.
Yeah.
No, but I had a high tolerance. I could drink fast. I mean, I can totally understand.
Yeah.
Makes me sad.
Yeah, no, but it does suck when you get older and you just don't recover and you can't. The other thing that happens is you learn that you don't enjoy things when you get too drunk too early.
Oh, yeah.
That's the big thing that you start to realize. Like you start to realize this is the important part of the day here that I want to enjoy most. Here's how I have to behave to get to that part of the day.
And that being a hypocrite when you hang out with someone that is drinking and getting out of hand when you did that for forever, 18 straight years.
I don't judge. I mean, every once in a while.
But I do, though. I'm like, I just don't want to be around this person.
Do you tell that person that?
No. I'm high. I just go somewhere and go to bed and put on a podcast or something.
When is the last time that happened?
To what?
When you were around somebody you thought I don't want to be around.
Oh, Jesus. When's the last time I hung out with Jordan? I'm just kidding. I don't know. It's been a minute.
Okay.
Usually people are cool. Chris Eastlick next. Number 1, Bert Emanuel is no slouch running. While he's somewhat one-dimensional, still a great game plan and execution by Scotty and the defense. 2, we are going to love these young receivers and defensive backs by the end of their time at MSU. And 3, if your hotel is going to have a mandatory resort fee, just put it in the cost of the room instead of it being a fun surprise when you check out. And you win a gift card easily. That's a great take.
There are 2 types of people in this world. Those who like seeing the price look cheaper when you book it, and those who prefer just seeing the whole price
at the end.
At the end.
But the whole the point of it is like at the end of the trip, you're like, fuck, it hurts even worse.
Here's where the first one is better. Work trips, right? Because your company can have a policy that's like, try to stay under $150 a night for the room. And if the rate is like $149, you're good, even though with taxes, resort fees, whatever, being on this island, this, it comes out to $210 a night. You're able to put in one little, enter in one little column, $149 and get away with it. So when it's a business thing, you don't want the overall price, but you're right. When it's you, it's better to see the overall price most of the time, unless you just want to be excited about something and deal with the price later. I think we've all been, we've all been there as well.
All right, Shep next. Number 1, shocked that there wasn't a scripted series on 2 from Hauser in the first half. I realize Kim ended up playing better in the second half, but that doesn't mean the quarterback situation was handled correctly. 2, really, really, really looking forward to watching a Tuck coach game where there are no head-scratching what-the-fuck strategic decisions. Maybe someday. 3, the team appears to have Bobby Williams / John L. level discipline. Tons of stupid mistakes, penalties, drops, kicking a punt into the end zone instead of downing it at the 2. Even bad Big Ten teams will feast on this kind of sloppiness.
So, Shep, I agree and disagree with some of this. So the problem with, like, when you talk about sloppiness and undisciplined, a physical mistake, like accidentally kicking the ball into the end zone when you're trying to down it at full speed, that's not sloppiness. That's just a physical mistake that happens. I think the defense was pretty dang disciplined. I thought there were a lot of I didn't see the I think it's a little unfair to go to those eras, and the worst of those eras was what we saw on there were a couple coaching calls. There was one declining a penalty that didn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. But so I mean, I understand the frustration with certain things. And look, all these guys are going to be under a spotlight in 2 weeks, and we'll learn everything about them.
Rich Searing next. Number 1, O-line still doesn't look great to me. Worried about not getting enough push up front. 2, why do we always go shotgun on 4th and short? Stupid. And 3, if Kim and receivers get on the same page, good things happen. Guessing some of those sailed passes were due to wrong routes.
The O-line is, I mean, I think that is, as I step away from the game, the biggest overall concern about this team still is the idea that I don't know how good they are up front and whether they'll be able to, I mean, I think they're going to be good at running back. I think those young receivers will push the older guys and be intriguing talents. You already see that in their debuts. I think the defense was encouraging. The offensive line is the spot you go, yeah, that was central. That was just okay. Maybe not a red flag, but the red flag is still in the pocket.
Eric Larson next. Number 1, new clock is terrible. Whenever I had the 4-game multi-view up of the games, there were almost always 2 games in commercial, if not 3. We need more football, less ads. 2, September 2nd would have been way too early to start looking forward to hoops. And 3, zucchini bread is greater than banana bread.
Zucchini or banana? Where you at?
Oh, it's banana.
I like zucchini bread, but yeah, I'm with you on banana bread.
I figured you were both.
I am both.
But everyone had to edge itself out.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Not turning down either.
I don't discriminate too much. If you bring over a zucchini bread, I will eat it. Banana bread, a groovy donut, whatever it is, I will.
Just depends on the mood you're in.
I will gladly eat it. And yeah, no.
Is that it?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Right. No. Let's go to. It was interesting to see the tweets though during the game about people saying, "When is basketball season?"
Yeah.
And on September 2nd, and I
the first half was terrible.
But I'll say this: this is at least, think about this as an MSU fan. You have that. If you're at Oklahoma or any at Georgia, you might even have a good basketball team that year, but you don't give a shit. And if the football team struggles out of the gate, it's 12 months till your life has meaning. 12 freaking months. And so I think, what you have at MSU is a gift. 2 months later, you get to care about something else, even if everything goes wrong.
If you're playing the Graham Couch drinking game at home, take a shot. Aled Peter Baker next. Number 1, college football fans have power to push back. See the public backlash to the UEFA Super League.
UEFA.
It also can be spelled out that way too, I guess. Soccer fans are organized and understand their power. College football fans can and should too. 3, tough Europa draw for Brighton. Will finish third.
Yeah, we don't have enough time for all of that.
Do you get the Dillon one? Did I miss that? Did you say that one?
What Dillon one?
Dillon parlays 8 wins and it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Did I say that one?
Man,
Dillon parlays 8.
I spaced out.
You know what? I don't think I did.
Okay, good.
You're right. Sorry, I'm wrong. 2, sorry. Dillon parlays 8 wins and exciting close losses to a better job. Maybe Miami.
You should have just stayed with it. You had done it. You had.
I can't do that
because I would have been.
If I fuck up, I do. Yeah, because next show people are going to write in or something. It's fine.
But I would have until the next show. I would have been sitting here going, God, I literally he just read that. And I somehow don't remember it. That's incredible. Number 1 actually is really interesting here. So, in English football or in European football, the major schools, the powers, the SEC, Big Ten types tried to come up with a Super League where all the biggest clubs in Europe were going to play, and it was going to diminish the Premier League. It was going to diminish everybody else, and it was going to hurt their promotion and relegation. It was going to hurt the culture of European soccer and English soccer and all these places. And fans, even of the bigger clubs, revolted. They said, fuck that. They protested. They were willing to boycott. They went to the mattresses. And, the problem in America is Georgia football fan is fat and happy. Michigan football fan is fat and happy. Michigan State football fan, you're not worried about the little guy. Oregon State played a game today, and for all the student-athlete well-being and shit, nobody cares if those fuckers drowned because I guess they're not humans. They're Oregon State. Oh, freaking well. But nobody sticks up for what exists overall, and they could. If fans really rallied and said, this is crap, we don't like this realignment. We don't. Now, it's happened sort of incrementally to the point that, it's hard to have one thing that pushes you over the top that's the outrage, like the Super League, which caught people off guard and angered everybody and went away. They won. Fans won. But there is some power from fans, and if things get bad, you love your sport and you care about other team. And I don't know, the thing about college football is people care about their team, and so I don't know that if you're at Michigan State, you're ever going to say this is complete bullshit. I'm willing to stand up and say something about it. You're certainly, but that there is power, and football fans, if they ever wanted to, if something ever went too far, would have the ability, but it would require that being important enough to protest and stuff.
Jake Phelan next. Number 1, Disney is ass. 2, streaming football on Peacock is ass.
Peacock?
3, sports betting is ass.
Sports betting in week 1 is often ass.
And you're young, yeah.
It can go.
When you get in your 30s, you'll understand it's just a normal thing.
Yeah. And
unless you have James Franklin who has balls to cover the spread for you.
That was pretty amazing.
God bless James.
That was
Franklin.
pretty amazing.
Oh, my God.
I would have had a nice little parlay if Toledo had been able to hang out against Illinois. I had Toledo on the money line as an underdog, and I also had an alternative line with Penn State, but they still needed that to cover it. And oh man, it would have been nice. I don't get everybody hates Peacock. I really enjoy Peacock, not just because of New Girl and Chicago PD and The Office and all that stuff, but I really enjoy the way they do Premier League football, and I think that NBC's coverage was really, I thought, good of the Penn State West Virginia game in terms of their presentation. So I need to watch a couple college football games on Peacock before I have that opinion. Can
we just get an app where all the games are?
Oh,
I'll pay for that.
You know what's not ass? Muskox. A Muskox flannel. Sure. As we go into the fall here, get your Muskox flannel. When we get to those October football games and you want to just be comfortable, look good, have your beer at Spartan Stadium, go to gomuskox.com. Again, through Labor Day night, through the night of Monday, $35 off, an offer on the 3 Seasons flannels, and just a great deal there. GoMuskox.com, a variety of different choices. And you can check out their fall offerings, too, and use the Couch in the Rube promo code HOFF, H-O-F-F, for $15 off your flannel purchase. We'll take a really quick break here. We come back, more of your hot takes. Couch in the Rube.
Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Sky Mint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Sky Mint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Sky Mint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan, and use the promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Sky Mint Cannabis. You'll love this place. Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with one awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. Get your Vegas on right now from your phone, tablet, or laptop. All the hottest slots and tables, plus sports betting featuring in-game wagering. Go with the name you know. Firekeepers. Get your first casino deposit and sports wager matched up to $500 each. Visit firekeeperscasino.com to download the mobile app today. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. If you're looking forward to cool summer nights at the lake or backyard gatherings, make Muskox's spring and summer flannel collection part of your summer experience. Muskox's lighter weight 3 Seasons flannel is perfect for warmer weather without sacrificing Muskox's noted softness or high quality. Plus, Muskox donates 10% of every $100 purchased to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center. Visit GoMuskox.com to find the absolute best flannel for you and use our promo code CAW15 for $15 off your flannel order. Trust us, you've never felt more comfortable than you will in a Muskox flannel. Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. Get your Vegas on right now from your phone, tablet, or laptop. All the hottest slots and tables, plus sports betting featuring in-game wagering. Download the app at firekeeperscasino.com. Go with the name you know. Firekeepers. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Sky Mint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Sky Mint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Sky Mint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan, and use the promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Sky Mint Cannabis. You'll love this place.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite, Podcast Addict.
Got to admit my carnivorous habit. Made it nearly 70 days.
Couch in the Rube, presented by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. GoMuskox.com. Labor Day sale running through Monday night, $35 off the select flannels, and you'll see it right there at the top of the frame when you go to the webpage for GoMuskox.com. So people are not happy about Keon Coleman right now, by the way. There's a one tweet.
Rightfully so.
Watching Keon, this is all caps. Watching Keon Coleman, question mark, fire Mel Tucker. And it's going to be frustrating because he's going to be good, and he would have been good at Michigan State. It's also a recruiting service failure. He wasn't that big a recruit. He was an okay recruit. wasn't that big a recruit. They knew he was good. But when guys like Keon Coleman turn into who they are, 24/7 rivals on threes of the world, I mean, it's a little tail between the legs. What the fuck were you looking at? Pretty early. He looked like a potential good prospect, and he's turned into that.
Matt C. is next. Number 1, I'm done hearing Mel needs more time. DeBoer took a 4-8 Washington team with no talent and has them rolling right off the jump. 2, Jay Johnson is a clown. The 4th and 1 calls are pathetic. His run game is schematically broken. 3, MSU's defensive line is much improved. They better show up in 2 weeks. And bonus, Coach Prime got a ranked road win right off the jump, but Mel needs 6 years to compete. We may have done the Buffs a big favor by taking Mel off their hands.
Couple things here. 1, Mel won 11 games in year 2. Deion's coached 1 game. Let's see where this goes. He obviously has some extremely good talent. Now, I'm not knocking Deion, but let's think about what people were saying about Mel 2 years ago, right? So,
but if you ask fans right now who they would rather have, Tucker or Deion?
Or Deion. Yeah, they'd rather have Deion, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, let's see the Deion, because what Deion Sanders is going to have to be able to do to win at the highest level, and he might do this, is stop running off his offensive linemen out of the program and build a line. And he may be able to do that. He's going to have to stay somewhere for a few years, which he may do. He may do everything that's necessary, but there are certain things. I think he's a really good coach. I think he gets the most out of guys. He clearly can recruit, and he's going to have playmakers in his system. But you also got to win in the trenches, and you also need to develop 4th and 5th year guys. And you can do a lot out of the transfer portal.
But let's say Florida State loses to LSU. Not a lot of the alumni and donors like Norvell. They want Deion possibly. I mean, Deion could go back to Florida State.
Well, that would be the move for Deion if you ever do it. Yeah.
I'm here for it. Nestle's Quick Hotel next. Number 1, we should assume Kim's slow start was jitters. MSU doesn't have the margin for slow starts. 2, pistol run play on 4th and 1 should be called the caw-caw. And 3, if the halves were reversed, fans would have much more confidence in this team. And bonus, Katin Hauser should start against Richmond.
That's a couple interesting points here. If the halves were reversed, people would have more confidence because it would have been a fast start, and then it would have been they just sort of were sluggish. I think, given who they are, is first-year starting quarterback, primary playmakers in their role, or those 2 young receivers, first-year guys. I don't know. First-year running back is your starting guy who this is a big deal for. He talked about it. Nathan Carter's an interesting guy, by the way. He really was taking in the moment. He was emotional coming out there. I think to be at Michigan State is a big deal for him. So I don't know that would have been I think the way they grew into that, as I keep saying, was probably better. Maybe people would feel better, but I think that was the better way for it to unfold. Katin Hauser should start against Richmond. Do you agree or disagree?
No, disagree.
Yeah, me too.
No.
I mean,
if you want him to play the 3rd quarter, if there's a lead there, sure.
And if you don't think he's the guy, if you don't think he's ready, why would you mess with Noah Kim's confidence? And you also need Kim to get as many reps as possible for Washington. That's why I disagree with it.
David Jackson next. Number 1, time of possession is a shit stat. What matters is plays run. CMU won time of possession by 9 minutes. They ran exactly 2 more plays than MSU ran. Anyone quoting time of possession doesn't know football. Always my favorite. 2, MSU's wide receivers are improved as compared to the games last year when Reed was injured. 3, Michigan players showed their contempt for following NCAA rules, as well as their own AD, Ward Manuel. Michigan players essentially declared that they support cheating. And bonus, MSU will whip both Minnesota and Nebraska. Reevaluate your projected Spartan win total.
Yeah, I mean, I expected them to beat CMU. I picked them, I believe, to beat both Minnesota and Nebraska, I believe, and get to 6 wins. So I think I did. I don't remember offhand. But so I have them going 2-3 out of the start and losing to Washington, Maryland, and Iowa. Now that could change. They could wind up winning a game or 2 of those, and that would really change my projected win total.
What's going on with your memory, though? Is there just so many dumb Girls Five Eva episodes in your head or New Girl. It's just weird. You have a good memory, and then you just like, I don't know who I picked last week.
Yeah, no, I can remember who I picked in 1986, but not. I'm sure it was the Denver Broncos.
Know what chips you had for lunch?
In John Elway, yeah.
Andy Schofield next. Number 1, MSU's offensive line couldn't get a push versus a MAC team. 2, we found our running back. And 3, Jason can't read.
Oh, you remembered it, even though I took it out.
Schofield, I saw it. It's all right. He's right. He's not lying.
No,
but I don't know what to. Andy, you've listened to the show for how long?
Yeah,
I do my best. I will say, I don't enjoy screwing these up, but I will say, when the edible hits and it's hot in here, all bets are off sometimes. Sorry.
And the only reason I took it out is I didn't know where Jason's mood would be by that point in the show.
Yeah, but he said it before. We had fun with it. He came in.
No,
it's
he's
a laugh.
He's a great guy. No. I will no longer edit Andy's comments that way. Yeah. To number 2, I do agree. I mean, I think it's very clear that Nathan Carter is at least a bona fide good Big Ten running back.
PZ next. Number 1, there are times where Jay Johnson makes Mike Martz look like Andy Reid. 2, Alante Brown, even if he passes concussion protocol, should have been held out. He was stretchered off, and it was a game against Central. Bad look sending him off. 3, young receivers should be a positive, even if the overall season gets tough. Really like Henry and Glover.
Those two look like players, and it wouldn't even matter. I know it's a game against Central. It doesn't matter who the game is. If he's not good to play, you can't. Guys shouldn't. You can't risk their health, and these questions will have to be asked because it was just weird that he came back, and then weird that he was in street clothes in the second half. Like I don't. I think we need to get some answers on how that all unfolded. And again, maybe there's a good answer, but it's just hard to imagine how a guy was in that condition. And it's not just that he was stretchered off. It's sort of if you watch when he got hit, how he fell, where his arms were, and all that stuff. That doesn't look like a guy who didn't just have a head injury that shouldn't be on the field that night, and that's a little confusing. And you know what? If Michigan State somehow made a mistake based on tests or whatever, come out and admit it. I mean, that's the thing. People just have to be accountable, and mistakes are made. And if you, I think that's better than sticking up for something that wasn't the right decision.
Spartan Sugar next. Number 1, I was thrilled for the win, but if that's how we can expect the offense to perform, Big Ten play will be rough. 2, Arsenal's win was insane. Low to high in 5 minutes. 3, as I stepped up to the trough in the men's room Friday night, all I thought about was Graham. Help me.
I hope that helped you pee.
What do you think of when you're at a trough?
I'm very much in the moment because I enjoy it so much. And are
you looking straight down? I hope.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But I'm also thinking about how efficient this is. I'm taking in the smells of the stadium and how much I enjoy it. You can still kind of smell the hot dogs. It's kind of a combination.
I don't believe you. You're a look around guy.
I am not.
Yeah,
it's a combination of like.
Not saying looking at people's dongs or mules, but
I don't look around.
I'm saying around like looking at other people's eyes to see if they're having as much fun at a trough like you.
No, because what you want to be careful of is you don't want to like accidentally get anything on your pants too. You want to be a little careful. You're in a public setting. But I love the
Depends
smell.
on who you stand next to, I guess.
The smell of like half men's room, half hot dogs, like stadium smells. I don't know what it is. It's weird. Maybe we cut that part.
I'd rather pee in a corner of the stadium than a trough. It sounds terrible.
Yeah. No. Yeah. By the way, the Arsenal game today, I had this long shot underdog parlay that I just needed Man United to hit to win and would have.
We were all rooting for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mr. Benjen. Missed the game due to a Metallica concert. My 3 quick takes based on reading couch. Number 1, Coach Cat must be fired immediately. You wrote that?
I did not write that.
Oh. 2, special teams coach Els is a god. 3, MSU fans are slow. Bonus. The all-under bet didn't work out. 18-23 with 3 games left.
That's interesting. I was waiting to see what happened there. So what Mr. Benji did is he took the under and the over-under in every college football game this weekend, or everyone with a line there. That
this is what Vegas doesn't know.
Yeah, well, 18-20. The beauty of that bet is he did it and he only was -5. Like if you're not putting a lot of money on it, you get to learn something.
Hold on.
What if?
Spin zone.
But what if he had been like, actually, it was 37-3. I think we all would have been on it next week. Like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Let's try that.
Scooter Tramp next. Number 1, constant commercials, some extended, quickly ruin any pregame excitement. 2, brutal at the stadium. You can only watch Frisbees for so long. And 3, at least at home, I can play a few songs on guitar or go mow the lawn while waiting for the game to resume.
It's going to be a problem, and people are noticing it more and more. It's longer, more frequent breaks. It sucks at the stadium. It sucks at home, and it's the wrong move, and we'll see how quickly they understand
What
it.
a humble brag about knowing how to play guitar.
It's pretty solid.
At least at home, I can run a 5K in 6.5 minutes. Ryan Rockwell, number 1. Great adjustments at halftime by the MSU coaches, but still lots of questionable play calls, and stupid penalties. Caw-caw. 2, the young wide receivers and Carter will at least be exciting to watch. And 3, definitely some jitters, but still lots of concern. This team won't go bowling come December.
I still think they're, on the track they're on now. If nothing traumatic happens, they're at least a 6-win team. They're probably a 6-win team. But I don't. That's based on what I thought going into the season and the things you see Friday. But there's nothing Friday that says, boy, that's 8 wins, that's 9 wins, because you can't do that again. You can't do that against CMU. You're just never going to know that. And I disagree with the idea that it would have been better to come out of the gate and then struggle. I think the way they finished was at least gives you some hope still.
Ryan Rockwell next. Number 1.
I think we just did that one.
Oh, AI God. Number 1, forget about the first half. It means nothing. Only look at second half and understand that this is a much better MSU team than last year. 7 games is floor, and that's if we get unlucky.
7 games is the floor. Wow. No, so there's a floor that's deeper than 7 games, and you still want to make sure you don't hit it. But did your ceiling, Jason, change at all with this game?
No.
I didn't think so. Yeah.
No. I didn't take much away from the game other than the offense was kind of ass the first half.
I think one thing that when you see the young playmakers begin to make plays, like if those young receivers really emerge into something, and we don't know what Noah Kim will be, but one thing you need to pull upsets, and this goes for a team like Michigan State trying to beat a team that's more complete, or a mid-major trying to beat a high major, is you need playmakers who are difference makers who cause problems, the Keon Coleman of the world, for example.
Hey, don't mention that name here.
But if they have young receivers who can do that, that does give them a chance to pull an upset and win a game that maybe we don't expect.
Spartan 18770 with just 1 apparently. Seeing Spartan Twitter during the first half, we don't deserve a good football program here. Caw-caw.
This is interesting, and I apologize if there were more win, because I only saw 1 from you. But
you mean Spartan 18770?
Sorry. He's got a point though. It's interesting here. The idea that, and it's not that you don't deserve a good football program, but the idea that so many people are turning the page to basketball season is sort of what I talked about in the column about why MSU football can't ever have the NIL, can't ever have the funding, won't ever get to the level of other places. And I think that's okay in terms of just the overall passion for it and the desire and the aching to win, because they have basketball, they have the distraction. And it was very clear that people were ready to screw this, move on to the distraction. And I'm not saying people shouldn't have if things are going badly, screw this, we don't want this anymore. But the fix is not to think about Tom Izzo. The fix is to figure out how to fix football and keep your head there. And I don't know that MSU fans are capable of that.
Fart Soup with just 1 apparently. Miss Fart Soup and I will be in Lansing all week and look forward to using that gift card I won last week.
We will connect, and maybe I can deliver it to you in person and meet Mrs. Fart Soup.
BB Kobe 87. Number 1, keeping Kim in after halftime will pay dividends the rest of the year. Coaching staff showed more patience than 95% of us would have had. Either the battle was never close, or they made a gutsy call in order to not kill Kim's confidence. 2, MSU has the skill player depth to contend. Receiver depth should make the pass game unpredictable. Attack the favorable matchups week to week, and this offense should be good, depending on how this offensive line can be. 3, absolute clown show in Ann Arbor. Free Harbaugh and then holding up 4 fingers like they're in memoriam due to his untimely passing. Do they not realize their own school suspended him for infractions? Expected nothing less from the entitled, self-righteous program.
Keeping Kim after halftime will pay dividends for the rest of the year. And the coaching staff showed patience. I think they did. Again, if he doesn't connect with Jerron Glover twice and the vibes change, because the vibes change. I mean, Jason, that was going to be a Boo Bird City there at the end of the first half. It would have been interesting to see. I have no doubt. I'll take them at their word. They were going to stick with Noah Kim into the third quarter. I don't know.
And there's no sense asking would have Kim come back out if he didn't complete those.
Well, I did ask that.
Yeah.
And
what'd you get?
He basically said, yeah. So I mean, because
we don't have enough time for all of that.
You sure it wasn't that?
It was not.
No. Michael Warheit next. Number 1, MSU's offensive line is not helping the run game. There seemed to be very little push. 2, despite Noah Kim's better second half, I thought Katin Houser should have played more than one series. 3, on 3rd or 4th and 1, can we come up with a better play than getting stuffed up the middle?
We just don't know what Katin Houser is. We know his recruiting profile. We know that a lot of people on Spartan Twitter want him to be him. But I just vomited in my mouth saying want him to be him. But we don't actually know how good he is. And he lost the starting quarterback job. Now, to the point that you want your backup to have experience, maybe he should have seen some more time, and maybe they'll get him in. I was surprised he didn't play early. I didn't realize there was that much separation in the quarterback situation and the battle. I will be even more surprised if he doesn't play a little more against Richmond.
Mojo Jojo, number 1, a very boring opening weekend of college football in years. No good cross-divisional matchups. Seems to be the future we're heading for. 2, always bet the over on teams with a lot of transfers and momentum. MSU in 21, Illinois in 22, and Colorado in 23. 3, MSU didn't look like they were having any fun. Huge issue. And bonus. Anyone who doesn't have YouTube TV for football season with Spectrum nonsense is kidding themselves. See photo for evidence, apparently.
I did not include the photo here. It's not a great talking thing. But you may be on YouTube TV by this week. You're going to have to do something, right? I mean, you're not going to
we're not going to sit there and not have ESPN. I mean, it's not like Spectrum is all that great. We use their internet, but...
Well, and that's what all these cable companies have to realize. You know, if for those of us who care about a certain thing that is offered, we don't wait. When the fight with, I had, what was it? I had Hulu for quite a while. Liked Hulu. Decent experience with Hulu is my main TV source. But then Bally's wasn't on Hulu, and I wanted to watch Pistons and Tigers. I'm not there to wait for you to negotiate or whatever. I said, fuck Hulu, and I got cable back because cable's better. And
then you had Bally's, and then you're still fucked.
It still wasn't great all the time. The Pistons sucked. And the worst thing is, in my overall panic, to find out ways to see Pistons games. And keep in mind, all this is like coming out of the pandemic where you're just like itching for certain things. But I ordered NBA League Pass on 2 different credit cards, 2 different ways somehow, and paid for both for like a full year without realizing. One was $39 a month. And just didn't.
So you had money then?
Well,
you didn't know for a year?
I mean, it was just hitting a credit card, and I wasn't really paying a whole lot of attention. I should have. And to their credit, they gave me back a good chunk of the year, which companies don't always do. No. That is a story not worth telling, but we haven't told a story worth telling. So that is a story not worth telling, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing, which has Trivia Tuesdays on Tuesday night. Great place to grab a beer after work. Good place to watch a game, too. Great date night. Favorite beer there is the American Stout. Unbelievable menu. Go to midtownbrewing.net. Check it out. I'm telling you, if you take a date to Midtown Brewing Company, they will be impressed. It has not just a great menu and a good vibe, but it's got character to it. Doesn't feel like a chain place. Fantastic spot in downtown Lansing.
Spartan Mike next. Number 1, MSU isn't going to miss Thorne or Coleman at all.
Yeah.
Each will regret slinking out of town.
I don't know how much regrets in Keon's.
We got it.
Yeah.
2, tough watching Jay Johnson call plays on both 4th and 1s. Knew he was going to go shotgun. Slow developing inside run. Bad. Call him out. 3, Groovy Donuts rock. Had them for the first time Saturday. Quality. And bonus, Neon Dion's kid can ball.
Did you just we got it me when my second reference to
Well, you keep just sending it home. It's like, it's all right. Keon Coleman's really, they're going to miss him, aren't they? Keon Coleman doesn't, oh, man, you should ask him after this game. I was just like, sorry.
Yeah. Groovy Donuts do rock.
I saw your head snap, though, when I said it, so I was figured it got you.
Yeah. I do, the Coleman thing is separate, but I do wonder what, I was watching Peyton Thorne, just wondering what he was thinking. Because I do think he'd probably prefer to be at MSU. I do think he probably would have won that job. And, it'll be at some point, it'd be interesting to have a conversation with him about what he was thinking or what, did he have any, regret might be too strong, but if he had to do it over again, would he have done it the same way or did he wish it just played out differently?
Iman Sinner next. Number 1, the MSU equivalent of shoot the puck guy is just tackle him guy, and we are all him. 2, depends on how much money you have on the game. 2, Noah Kim had a better start than we think. Not only were there drops, but I counted at least 3 of those hitting the targets in the face. Looking at you, Hail Mary, to end the first. And 3, after Saturday's honoring of Harbaugh stunt, Michigan should stand for University of Martyrs.
The weird thing about what Michigan doing it is it just played into who people perceive them to be. That's the thing. It's not even that. It's just not that big a deal, but it's like, this is why a lot of people don't necessarily like them. It's like that.
I mean, even Michigan fans have to get it, right?
Yeah, just
you guys realize what it is, right?
Leaned into it a little bit there.
Right.
That's all.
It's just weird.
Yeah.
Dino Spumoni, number 1. MSU is oddly obsessed with U of M. So many comments about their play for Harbaugh. Why? 2, race will be between Penn State and Michigan. And 3, J.J. McCarthy, Penn State's quarterback, and Maryland's quarterback are the top 3 in the conference.
Could wind up being that way. Everybody's obsessed with everybody. Michigan's obsessed with Michigan State. Michigan State's obsessed with Michigan. And Harbaugh comes across as sort of an annoying dude who would appreciate this sort of. I mean, you should know why there are comments about it from MSU fans and about their play for Harbaugh, because Harbaugh is suspended for infractions by his own school, although they happen because there are going to be more suspensions probably from the NCAA. And it's not – he's missing 3 games in which they scheduled nobody, 0 people to begin with. It's just not – it's just – I don't – he just hasn't been persecuted. It's just weird. It was just weird that they did it, but it was on brand, and that's why they're taking shit. It was weird and on brand. That's all. That's all it is. It's not that big a deal. There shouldn't be a million columns slamming them for it or anything like that. It's just because young people do stupid shit all the time.
You mean Rainer Saban?
Welcome to the blue wall.
Did he write that column?
I don't know. I'll read that shit. Curl 63 here. First time, long time. Number 1, outstanding first time experience at Front 43 and Cask and Company. Spartan fries, shrimp tacos, 4-cheese cheeseburger, pulled pork Gouda mac and cheese, and the combo California spicy tuna roll, along with the Going North apple cherry cider, all fire. Abby, our waitress, was on point. New pregame tradition has just been established.
Appreciate you, girl.
And so has Couch's other burner. 2, Noah Kim showed a better deep ball than Thorne, and if you added in the Carr trick play drop, and either of Mosley's uncharacteristic drops, he's well over 300 yards, 65 yards passing, 2 TDs, and 0 interceptions for fumbles. Along with being poised and resilient, he's got a bright future. Best quarterback potential since Connor Cook. 3, teams will find it very difficult to run against this D, but with the aggressiveness of the DBs, Tatum was a dog in the run game, and whatever that means. Play action worries me. I don't know what that means. Bonus. Does it make you a bad person to wish for a 24-hour food poisoning bug to hit the Washington quarterback and wide receiver room at 8 a.m. on 9/16?
I don't think it makes you a bad person. I think it makes you a fan. That's all.
And we got to shorten these.
Yeah, this one's a little long.
Yeah.
I will say this, and this was an email. When people email, they don't have the count, the Twitter count, the word
letter character limit.
Character limit. Yeah. Just
that's fine.
Yeah. Just remember
even last.
Just remember, be punchy in your writing. But we very much always appreciate writing and the.
Or if you hate me, just make them longer.
Oh yeah, and by the way, the Front 43 live read is better than anything I've ever done.
That was pretty good.
Appreciate you on that.
Like they had a menu in front of them.
Yeah, for sure.
Tony and the Ducks next. Number 1, this looks like it's going to be a group that can succeed next year. MSU's team will return a majority of their playmakers. 2, this year is a success as long as we can see growth in those playmakers and along the line. And 3, happy Labor Day weekend. Appreciate you.
I do think one of the better things about this MSU football season is how many guys should be back in the fold a year from now that are key guys that have a chance to be really good players. And so, yeah, I totally agree with that.
Spooky season savant. Number 1, wouldn't be the first time Michigan has honored a coach who's guilty of breaking some rules. #Bo. 2, Dillon Tatum was the best player on the field Friday.
He looked good, and watched the game back, and I might watch it one more time just to sort of watch some specific guys, because whenever I watch the game back originally, it's always like 3 a.m. that night, and I'm missing some stuff. But Tatum played well. It'll be interesting to see how much of his career is still at corner when he wants to be a safety, but he's obviously a really good athlete.
Kyle next. Graham, I need you to please take a tape measure to the weekly press conference with Tuck and hopefully Jay Johnson and show them the measurement of a yard to ensure they realize how fucking stupid it is to line up in shotgun for 4th and 1. Quarterback sneaker death.
I'm not going to use props when asking questions, but I do. They do not do the QB sneaks, and I know Noah Kim is not a big guy, and so maybe that's why. Maybe they don't think it'll be effective with him. Maybe they don't think. But
have Ebling take off his belt and say, "Here, this size."
I don't want to risk Ebling's pants falling down. It'd just be bad for everybody.
That's the point of the day here. Yeah.
Kenshu.
Is there more after Kenshu?
Yeah.
Okay, Kenshu. Number 1, intentional grounding when a receiver runs the wrong route is the stupidest thing ever. 2, play calling in the first half didn't do anything to help Kim get comfortable in his first collegiate start. And 3, what does that say? FAC?
Face mask.
Oh, all I get is FAC. Inside baseball here, the email, it goes down, and then I have to hit a link, and then it takes me down to pass of the sorry.
Well, let's we'll do these, and then we'll take another quick break. And
well, I think I got it here.
Yeah. The play calling in the first half didn't do anything to help Kim get comfortable. There's an argument. There was one throw particularly. It was like 3rd and whatever, and it was a deep out way down the field that had no shot at being a completion. And maybe that was Kim's read. Maybe that was one of the things that Terrell Henry said, was that he noticed that Noah Kim got more and more comfortable, started getting them into the right plays, making the right read. So maybe that was on Kim. But that sort of plays, like that guy has no shot. Almost no quarterback in college is ever going to complete that pass. And so I did wonder a little about that. Let's take one more quick break. We'll come back. More of your hot takes. Couch in the Rube, our Sunday night show presented by Muskox Quality Flannels.
Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Sky Mint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Sky Mint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Sky Mint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan, and use the promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Sky Mint Cannabis. You'll love this place. Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. Get your Vegas on right now from your phone, tablet, or laptop. All the hottest slots and tables, plus sports betting featuring in-game wagering. Go with the name you know. Firekeepers. Get your first casino deposit and sports wager matched up to $500 each. Visit firekeeperscasino.com to download the mobile app today. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117.
Find our live stream, podcast archives, as well as show, affiliate, and sponsorship information at our website, spotlightmediastudios.com.
Couch in the Room, our Sunday night show presented by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. Visit gomuskox.com and use the promo code HOFF, H-O-F-F, for $15 off your flannel purchase. You can look as good as me and Jason. You will enjoy the comfort, the quality, and I'm telling you, it's a good purchase as you get into fall. You'll dig it. You'll dig it. You'll like how you look. You'll like how you feel. That's Muskox Quality Flannels. All right, back into these hot takes.
Matt Venny, number one, sports broadcasting is at an all-time low, and it's only getting worse every year. 2, the Maliq Carr experiment has to be put to rest, despite what the coaches think and want him to be. His on-field play is too inconsistent. 3, based on the nonsensical route combination, long developing runs on 4th and 1, and the random no-huddle plays that have never worked, Mel Tucker needs to decide if keeping Jay Johnson is worth losing a $9.5 million job.
They don't have anybody behind Maliq Carr they think's at his level. And so Maliq Carr is going to be the guy. They just need to get the best out of him. That's the thing I would say to that. It wasn't a great debut for him other than the one great catch. I was a little surprised by that just based on how they talked him up. But it'll be interesting to see where his, because he's the guy when you start to play teams, and nothing was working for a while in this game, but when you start to play teams where you really need the big third down catch, where the guys who are potential pros separate themselves. They need Maliq Carr to separate himself.
Sports Guy 1919, number one, hammering MSU minus 6.5 live right before CMU stopped on 4th and goal was a great play for me. 2, in the minority but don't necessarily hate the new clock rules. Why did the clock ever stop for first downs while they moved the chains? Seems like a random rule.
Yeah, and the lower level of play, though, it helps. And I know they don't have it in the NFL. I think NFL games are sometimes not enough football and too quick, but it's also a higher level of play, and guys can it helps. It gives you more football. That would be my only answer, and I don't know why they ever originally did it.
Ricky Lombardi, number one, after Saturday, there won't be any more hate tweets directed towards Tucker by Colorado fans. Maybe a few LMAO emojis. 2, as Deion declared at halftime, Travis Hunter is him. Unauthorized uses of this moniker towards others will be receiving a letter from my lawyer. 3, Tennessee likes their old QBs. Figured Joe Milton to be the oldest in college football until I realized Rocky Lombardi is in year 7. And bonus, MSU and Michigan had basically the same final score, but games couldn't have felt more different.
It is true, yeah. The Michigan game felt like domination. The Michigan State game felt like a struggle, and then all of a sudden it was 31-7, and you're going, how'd that happen? And they kind of wore them down. Very, very, very different outcomes, and I think different feels for who those two teams are based on those beginnings.
Gary Lipka next. Number one, Michigan State gave mad scientist McElwain a loss against the spread for only the third time versus a Power 5 opponent. 2, even those who were able to buy points to bet on the Chippewas lost. And 3, amazing job by Graham to boldly and confidently pick the Spartans.
Well, look, they're 14.5-point favorites. They're not the MAC team. I don't think it was, it was pretty obvious with them.
All right. Uper Carl. Number one, Kim looked great, but the fan base should calm down. His numbers were very similar to Maxwell's stats against CMU in 2012. Let's be cautiously optimistic. 2, best part of the game was field goal and kickoffs, which were excellent. And 3, blue wall alert. No news regarding JJ not being a captain. All the rage in 2015. Hell, Solari wrote the Cook captain angle, his O'Connell 2016 story. Underclassman angle is BS.
I think it's a fourth-year guy deal, though. I think the rule there, and I could be wrong on this, but what I heard was you have to be a fourth-year guy, either a fourth-year junior, redshirt junior, or senior, and that's the deal. But, yeah, there's no question that Connor Cook took unnecessary shit for that. Now, was he the ideal captain material? He was an interesting, different dude, and so there's that, too. Like, Connor Cook and J.J. McCarthy are different people, right? So
Mike Scott, number one, despite a 24-point win, the 4th and 1 plays were concerning. How much does Jay Johnson make again? 2, the Lions lose a heartbreaker Thursday to Mahomes Magic, but put in a great performance. And 3, Coach Prime, wow. Bonus. I should only bet Premier League and not college football.
Just let the college football season unfold. You'll figure that out here. Lions lose a heartbreaker to Mahomes Magic, but put in a great performance.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, it would be better than getting blown out, I guess. Although it would sting a little.
Thomas Zambiasi, number one, the coaches should have spent less time warning the team about the crowd jeering and more time opening their playbooks. 2, MSU will have their most competitive game with Ohio State since 2018. Source was at Indiana versus Ohio State, who didn't impress. 3, the Big Ten will have a down year in football and miss the playoff, but we'll see a brand new matchup for the conference title game.
Look, I don't think the Big Ten's going to have a down year. I mean, I would be stunned if they missed the playoff. Between Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State, to tell me one of those 3 teams in the playoff, I'll be very, very surprised.
Andrew Zuiza, number one, defense seemed fine. Seemed to have more trouble with the Akron quarterback last year. But in that game, we had a lot of timely big plays and timely Akron fuck-ups with little continuity, which left me worrying despite winning 55-0. This game felt pretty good. 2, another reason why not to play in big week 1 games. The refs haven't had a preseason either. Didn't end up mattering for Minnesota. And 3, Max Bulla failed his finals, and that's why he had to sit out the Rose Bowl.
I love the Max Bulla fakes takes. Keep them coming. This game did feel different than the Akron game. I should have gone back and looked what I wrote, because that was a blowout, but didn't feel that Akron team was not where this Central team is, I don't think. And I think this was a better. The second half was a more promising performance. Again, it's still Central Michigan, but yeah.
Bo McJunkins, number one, the Michigan tribute to Harbaugh might be the saddest, cringiest thing I've ever seen. Your coach is suspended by your school's own doing. He didn't die. JJ saying he wants his coach back when he'll see him at practice is pathetic. 2, elementary school kids reading their lunch menu over the PA system is a better broadcast than Will Tieman's network. He made no less than 7,000 mistakes when summing up the first half. 3, for the love of God, can someone get some quality control in this program? I've never seen a team kick itself in the dick at crucial times with penalties more than this one.
Oh, poor Will. I did have a really good time in the parking lot with hanging out with George Blaha post game. I should have shared that earlier. But Blaha, though, one of my favorite things about Blaha gets a pop in him or two. He's a little feisty, and there was a kid with a wearing like a "I'm a Spartan bitch" shirt or something like that. And Blaha did not like it, and he went up to this like 12-year-old. He's like, I don't think he quite said it like this, but more or less, "You're a bitch for wearing that shirt." To
a 12-year-old?
Yeah. Well, he didn't. I don't think he was not happy about the shirt.
We're gonna fix this in post.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't. Well, he was look. He was offended by the shirt. He thought it was a bad representation.
So he went after a 12-year-old?
He didn't go after him.
Where was the parent?
It was polite. The parent was right there. He knew the parent.
That would be how awesome would that be though if you had that kid and just dressed down by.
Yeah.
Le Petit Fur, number one, it's week 1. Everyone is ass. 2, because everyone is ass, week 1 conference games are ass. Give me the competitive non-conference games, though. And 3, following multiple games when some are on a streaming app and others are on cable, it's ass. Agree.
Yeah, it's hard to do. I mean, college football used to be a lot easier when you just flip. It sucks. That's the way it is. Yeah.
David Cox. Excuse me. Jesus. I don't listen to your gambling segment with Harry. I'm not a casino guy. Did you guys know what Gagnon means? Is that really his name? No better name for a pro gambler. Winning. 2, Jordan Simmons or Davion Prim should be the backup running back. And 2, Kim Sanity settled down after throws on the run. Make him mobile.
I don't, Simmons, we've seen enough of him to know what are his limitations. Nice kid, been around the program a long time. Davion Prim, we haven't, seen a lot of. I still think that, I don't know, I think they're okay there. I do. I think you saw some decent receptions. I don't know. I think they're okay at the running back position. They get Mangum back this week. I think they'll be fine.
Watson, Spartan Eyes. Number 1, best MSU players on the field were the refs. MSU got their fair share of favorable calls this week. 2, Peyton Thorne learned to air it out in his debut with Auburn. However, going 10-17 versus UMass makes me think MSU made a good choice. And 3, the new first down play clock rule is ass.
Yeah, I don't like it. Peyton Thorne's performance was interesting. If you saw it, it was better than the stats. They take him out so he doesn't get touchdowns near the goal line. He got in a rhythm for a while. That game got away from UMass. I thought he looked fine. I thought he played pretty well. It's just like with Michigan State and CMU, there's some things that are hard to judge in that game. But he didn't do anything that made you think, like, boy, they're not going to stick with him.
Wallace, next. Number 1, I'm going to have a brain aneurysm if I see one more 4th and 1 shotgun play. 2, Mel can't complain about NIL when the players he has struggle against bum MAC teams. He's just not a good coach. 3, another year, another bad offensive line.
Jury's out on the offensive line. We've kind of gone over that. But, yeah, I think you have to see, can they at least protect, get a push against Washington before we make that statement. Nothing has been it wasn't promising to watch them. They weren't awful. They weren't awful. Noah Kim didn't get beat up tremendously. He got hit a couple times, but I don't know that we know they're bad yet.
Grosse Point Spartan next. Number 1, the Fox graphics look like back-to-school marketing campaign from 2005. 2, Ryan Day is a meh coach with talented players, and we're witnessing the softening of OSU. 3, Penn State will be the favorite against all Big Ten teams and everyone's favorite bonus. No improvement in the trenches for MSU, but Kim is better than Thorne.
The Ryan Day thing is interesting because I do think there's some pressure on him right now, which is strange when you look at his record, and they were probably one field goal away from winning a national title last year, so that makes it interesting. If he loses to Michigan again, if they lose to Ohio State, if Ohio State doesn't feel like the big dog in the program, there will be pressure there.
Be easy. Number 1, Harbaugh's suspension is a complete joke and more of a publicity stunt than a punishment. Hey, JJ, if you want your coach back so bad, just take a stroll up the street and have a chat with your own administration. 2, Week 1 betting does in fact suck. And 3, the second half version of MSU can win 7 games.
He's right on the. It's not like Jim Harbaugh wasn't there. He was around, right? Free Harbaugh. Yeah, it was a weird thing to do. And that
are you surprised?
No.
All right. Cucker Tarlson with just 1. It's weird to watch Big Ten football, knowing that this is the last year. It will resemble what we know as the Big Ten, soaking it in.
I was thinking about that watching the UCLA game against Coastal Carolina. Like next year, that'll be like Indiana there. And when you think of Washington, and Washington will play at Michigan State this year, but it's going to be different. And I think we'll miss some of the old stuff.
Or Tom Allen.
It'll be fun though the first few times. It'll be fun to go out there. I think there'll be aspects of this that are going to create some interesting, fun matchups and great opponents in Spartan Stadium.
You're just happy because it's California. You get to go.
The trips don't suck. That is true.
Yeah. Couch on Fire next. Number 1, attention announcers, please. We don't need to know the damn former team for every transfer player. 2, best news for MSU this week was the offensive juggernaut showcase put on by Minnesota and the Nebraska team, 13-10. And 3, another year for Miggy, 4 hits. Jason breaks his mic.
If they announced Miggy was coming back, it would be
fuck that.
This has been about right. Like I think they've done a good job of not playing him every day, but and not putting him in the cleanup. And he's hit well enough, and they're not competing for anything yet. Like you don't want Miggy next year, right?
You don't believe that?
I do. If next year
they've used Miggy right all year,
yeah, why not?
Jeez.
How would have you used him?
Sparingly.
Okay.
Only on the bench. He's going to get these stats, but he's already got the 500, 3,000 hits. Put him here and there, but we were just emphasizing Miggy in some of these lineups, and I don't know, whatever. Dark Mantonio next. Number 1, Fox was the laughing stock for picking that TCU Colorado game, but they may get the last laugh because I doubt any game this weekend will be as good. Oh, and does Colorado have 2 Heisman hopefuls? Maybe. 2, you always say MSU is in Michigan's head. You're right to a point, but from what I gather, listening and reading MSU stuff, they are completely obsessed with everything Michigan. 3, forget the running backs. We know what they can do. That's what I want to see from JJ every game.
Right. Everybody's in everybody's head. So Michigan State fans are obsessed with Michigan. Michigan fans are obsessed with Michigan State. That's just what it is. Fox had to be thrilled they got that game because it was the best game by a long way that weekend, and it was the only game all weekend that was really must-see TV.
Jake Hawkins next. So, 24/7 Sports put a list of best position football coaches in the Big Ten a few weeks ago and picked Chris Kapilovic as the best O-line coach. Some would agree, but kind of beg to differ when MSU couldn't convert 2 4th-and-1s. Come on, Coach Cap. Tell the big guys to get it together. 2, while MSU's defense did improve Friday on CMU's lone touchdown, the left side defensive backs just stood still before running to the top only if it's too late. Got to show improved big time, Got to show improvement big time because that won't work against UW. You saw what Mike Penix did against Boise State. 3, other college football notes.
Thank you, Jake.
Coach Prime will have the Buffaloes in a national contention in 2 to 3 years. Billy Napier could be the next Florida coach fired, and I'm calling it. The winner of the Michigan-Penn State game will win the Big Ten East and the conference. Bonus, missed another question show again. Damn it, what's your email, Graham?
Graham.couch@gmail. Just hit me up there or just hit me at gcouch@LSJ and I'll get in, Jake. We had a Wednesday show, and I think that's why you missed it. We will have this week we're going to do Wednesday and Friday. So Twitter questions will be on Friday after the Lions game, like a midday show. So not quite on our normal schedule yet, just because of the Lions and some things. But appreciate you, Jake.
Hans Jurgen, number 1, Rocky Lombardi, Bo Nix, Sam Hartman. Does anyone ever graduate anymore? 2, unlike Graham's musings, the tackling of MSU's DBs has really improved.
Thank you.
3, Football 101, Jay Johnson. For the pistol or read option to work, the QB has to keep the ball sometimes and run. If your QB can't break a tackle or outrun a defensive lineman, stick him under center. Kim seemed more comfortable under center against CMU. Bonus. I like MSU's young receivers, and it seems like our pass rush has improved. Graham only rushes to the fridge. I kid, Graham, because I love. And bonus. Hot take. Graham is dog shit without Jason. No, seriously. Only old crazy Graham would give me a forum. Appreciate you.
I am dog shit without Jason, though. I mean, this show is made by Jason. Anybody who's listening to the show.
Reading all this shit?
Yeah, no doubt. Jason is the show.
I know. Whatever. Finally, the jerk guy. Number 1, sports writers didn't know jack about MSU's quarterback situation and guessed wrong. 2, the University of Michigan Ann Arbor situation really shows that the NCAA has a level of impotence that even super doses of Viagra couldn't fix. And 3, I tried soccer, but who would watch that when real football is available?
You're right. On the quarterback situation, we didn't know. And we weren't really in the loop, and nobody seemed to be. And I think we were steered to not know, too, because I was point blank asked Mel Tucker, apparently the day he told
Greenwald.
Yeah, the day he told Noah Kim that he was going to be the starter, I asked Mel Tucker that day if he knew he was going to be the starter, and he said he did not. So there is that. We appreciate you producing our show and all these hot takes. We're glad we had something to talk about. And we'll be back Wednesday, and we'll do our picks and have a guest, and then we'll do Friday Twitter questions after the Lions game Thursday night. We appreciate Midtown Brewing Company. Go to midtownbrewing.net. Check out their menu. Great place for a date, for anything. Beer after work or whatnot. And, of course, we thank Muskox. Go to gomuskox.com. Labor Day sale, $35 off through tomorrow night. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Roof.